connecting. We should be streaming on regular and Roman right now. Regular and Roman. Still auto completes regular and Roman gay. Still loading. Still loading. Still loading. Still loading. How do you like that? Still loading. Still loading. There it is. Is it streaming? See, there's no one in the chat right now on that. There we go. Okay, there's people in the chat. Hey, Brian, good to see you. Hello. Okay, good. Should be live. Matto's in the chat. Very good. We're doing everything. Okay. Why does it still say podcast relaunch test when it shouldn't be podcast relaunch test? Unless I didn't save the settings. Oh yeah, that's because I didn't save the settings. Fantastic. Well, okay. It says podcast relaunch test, but it's not the podcast relaunch test. So, we're going to move everything over here. I need a microphone for me, which cannot get anything else tangled. There's a microphone for me. I need a drink for myself. Made a noise. It's probably still updating itself. Look at that. It can barely load the chat. Look at that. Look at me trying to scroll. Oh, it's buffering again. Look at that. Still can't. Oh, it's trying to figure out which side is up, which side is down. God, this Amazon Fire sucks. Okay. It's just going to sit there, and if it wants to do anything, it wants to do anything. So, I am going to close. I'm going to close Instagram because I need to use my phone to read the chat. So, yeah, that thing doesn't even load the chat in the Amazon Fire. Dumb. Yeah. Turn off. Amazon Fire is pretty much good for nothing. Right. I need like an iPad or something. Okay, we're closing Instagram. And we need to just do this on my phone and just read the chat from there. So that's what we're going to do before we hit record on the Canon XA60. Ads. Gotta have ads on my own channel. Thank you for excuse me before starting the podcast. Okay, there's the chat. There's everything. Cool. So now I can read the chat. I'm not even going to bother with my eyeglasses because I need it. I don't need my glasses to see the phone because the glasses are, they don't work. So we are ready to roll. Good evening and welcome to the new relaunch of the RCR Podcast. I am not wearing shoes. I hope my bare feet don't disturb you. This is the full-on podcast for the shorts that you have been seeing recently. I'm supposed to have a guest for today, Kurt, but our mutual friend Jim was also staying the night tonight. And I'm going to mute Kurt's microphone because we're not using him. So we were going to banter back and forth, but they're at the emergency room right now because Jim's blood pressure went really, really high. So that's hilarious. Maybe not for Jim. I'm a YouTube star. So, in lieu of Kurt and I talking, I'm going to take your questions in the chat going by. If you feel like throwing a super chat, awesome. If you don't, completely understand. So, man, I just had to have ground turkey, didn't I? Friggin' clogging my throat. It's been interesting making these YouTube shorts and throwing them up on Instagram and TikTok, how much the algorithm likes them. I've just been going off the top of my head about stuff I've experienced after being an automotive journalist for the past 10 years? 10 years I've been doing this. And it's interesting to find like new people who are into this sort of thing. So they say the mic is quiet. You think it's the camera mic? Stream is very quiet. Brian, please fix the mic. Great. Okay. Turn the mic up like 300%. Okay. All right. Got to fix the mic. So we're going to stop recording on this. We're going to give it another shot to start again. So I need to fix the microphone. Thank you for catching that the mic was quiet. Mic is quiet. Yeah, that thing is going. Okay. So mic is over here. We are on pot 4. Man, the gain is already up pretty high. Turning it up higher. We're going to go right there to 0 decibels. See what that does. Does that make a change? Mic's good. Warmer. Nice. Perfect. Awesome. All right. Manly Reviews says perfect. Thank you. Brian, you have to think about one thing at a time. You're now going to put the microphone. This is called brute forcing your ADHD, by the way. Forcing your mind to slow down so you can only think of one thing at a time. Brian, you need to put the microphone down. Then you need to pick up the bowl. Stop talking. Eating on mic. Okay. We're going to give this another shot. If I was professional, I should really put socks on, shouldn't I? Testing on this, testing on this. Anybody know what the taillight is for? Okay. Brian, you need to put your phone down, put the mic down, pick up your hat. You need to put your hat on. Now you need to start recording with the camera. There we go. Take two. Welcome to the relaunch of the RCR Podcast. This is the full podcast of those YouTube shorts and Instagram reels and TikToks that you've been seeing recently. Finally had time to put it all together. We were supposed to have a guest, Kurt, but he had to take my friend Jim to the hospital for high blood pressure. They may come back. They may not. Who knows? So now it's just you and me to talk about whatever the chat is. So what does the chat have? Good evening, sir, says the one Kia. Do you have any plans to take one of your Nikon cameras out to the AT and take pictures of fall foliage? Well, that sounds very nice. I would love to see a video on the third channel. The third channel about my photography. I'm not a very good photographer. I don't even shoot in RAW. I'm too lazy. I mean, I tried it once or twice. Remember when HD photography was a thing where you just, took those 3 photos and took a bunch of stuff? Now the GoPro camera does it all by itself. I think my DIJ camera does it in camera as well. I mean, doing that's fun. But now it's like whenever I'm sitting at a computer, I better be making money. My days are like I wake up, I start either editing long-form content or short-form content. I eat breakfast, continue working on the computer, make coffee, continue working on the computer. The coffee makes me horny. Around 2 o'clock, I beat off. And then I continue working till about 3. By that time, the coffee is wearing off, so I head to the gym. If I'm smart, I go work out while the caffeine's still in me. But if not, excuse me, I will take some electrolyte mix, a teaspoon of creatine, drink that down, probably another glass of water, make sure I'm good and hydrated, and head to the gym after that. Normally, if I do that, I won't get a headache while I'm at the gym trying to lift stuff. So I'd love to go out and just take photography, but I mean, I'd have to have a reason for doing it. And by that, I mean, a lazy reason. The one Kia rebutted with, I shoot JPEG and RAW because I'm also lazy. Someday I will be not lazy and have a RAW image that allows me to delude myself into thinking that someday I will do something with the RAW images. Yeah, save your mana. Do you take at least weekends? Do you at least take weekends, or is it all work and no play? I got to play one day this week when I went to the Easton Garlic Festival. But even then, and I had my still camera with me. And I took some pictures thinking, well, maybe I'll make a slideshow about this. But I didn't. I took the photos. Some were nice. I was being all cool. Being like, oh, this is going to be all manual. I'm going to make manual cameras. Just take all manual photos. And I got some that were pretty good. But I didn't use them for anything. Which is sort of a weird thing. Like everything in my life has to be monetized. But I guess that's the sort of thing we deal with now. NVC says, how does it feel knowing that you're coming to Australia and you're only reviewing one Australian car? Well, 2. I do have a Holden and a Ford. A Holden Commodore wagon and a, if it's repaired in time, Matto's Falcon Ute with a topper on the back, and I forget his model. Mark Johnson asks, Garlic Festival? Yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's sort of like a San Gennaro festival. I mean, you have a garlic festival. It's going to be like a lot of Italian and Greek influence, but they did have some Latin food, and I was able to get some halal food there as well, so it was pretty cool. The original church, the original Larchich, says, you're allowed to make art for the sake of art. Yeah, love of the game. Your own personal media no one else gets to see.
I mean, if I make anything, it's going to go up. I mean, here on the second channel on Regular Roman, I did that interview segment with Appalachian Thru Hikers. That I did for the love of the game, knowing that it's going to make no money. But that's something I wanted to do. The Nova Bella says X3. Speaking of Australian cards, have you heard of? Yes, I have heard of Garbage Time. Love to collaborate, but they're in Adelaide, and we're going to be in Melbourne, and we don't have time to fly over, which is a bummer. My best art is pooping videos. Have you downloaded my album, Songs I Wrote While I Pooped? 100 stunning tracks for $5. And it's all stuff I took with a Canon N1 recorder, which is over there on the old computer station. It's the Costanza says, I remember the old podcast in your old apartment in the attic. My apartment was the attic. That was a one-bedroom, like 600 square foot apartment that we used to do. Yeah. I had no table in the whole apartment. Just nightstands and that buffet table over there that the computer is on. Anybody came over, close the blinds. I got to say that chair looks nice. They're just IKEA stuff. Regular chat review. So hello to everybody who's watching this after the fact. Have you viewed a Datsun Fairlady? Nothing that old, really, no. Speaking of nothing that old, I'm getting a little cold. Brian, put down the mic. There we go, much better. Dream but obtainable podcast guest. What is my dream? What is my attainable dream for a podcast guest? Someone that I really want to talk to. Well, I already had my dream podcast guest once, and I think I botched it because we were kind of strung out from filming all day, but Ian Fidance was on the show. I think my dream is to go on other people's podcasts. Really, I find that much more fun than doing my own. I'd love to be on Being Ian with Jordan. We were fortunate enough to be on the Adam Friedland show. I'd love to go back again. Going on the Smoking Tire is always fun. I'd like to sit down and just talk to Greg Fitzsimmons because all we do is write, and his podcast is about writing. And I'd like to learn how to not get stuck in a type of groove over and over and over again. Because Nick and I, it's like a book report every week doing RCR. So those are people I'd like to talk to. I have no desire to go on Rogan or, I don't know, Dana Gould. I just pulled someone out of my ass. Oh, what am I talking about? Spike Ferrison. Love to be on his podcast. Nick and I had the blessing to work remotely for Spike's old show, Car Matchmaker. I mean, we were just pretty much doing punch-up, but he's a nice guy. I think he still occasionally watches my content. Gilbert, the PT Cruiser Overlord, says, when are we getting a Jim guest star? A Jim? Well, we'll see what happens at the hospital. So, we'll see what happens then. If you're a Toyota fanboy, you got to get the car care nut. Yeah, I don't know if I followed him or not, but people recommended his videos to me. I'd like to watch them when I'm in a position and when I'm not creating myself. It's very rare that I watch other YouTube channels these days. When I'm at my computer, I normally just throw on Twitch and I listen to just furry nonsense in the background. My favorite Twitch channel is, of course, Morning Chai. Of course, they and I are friends. So it feels like someone else who's also a content creator is also in the room with me. So I'm not working and editing videos alone. I had this very calm feeling once that when I was at my friend Foster Eber's house, along with his husband, Donovan Geiger, and Foster at the time was trying his hand at being a content creator. He does have a YouTube channel. It's called Adler the Eagle. I produced one video for him that I'm very proud of. And there was this just sort of Zen-like moment where I was in his home office sitting at his husband's computer. And I was just editing stuff. I wasn't on Donovan's computer. I just had my laptop. But just being with someone else, it's almost like an office. I didn't feel so isolated, which is a continuing theme of what it's like being a content creator. Do I want Nick Roman to live with me? No. We work very well remotely. We kind of get on each other's nerves just a little when we travel together. Nick snores and I fart all night, so there's that. And we live very, very different lifestyles. Although we work fantastic together, we would not be good living together. Those names sound made up, says the Racing Mind. Yeah, well, they're real. The racing, something, people, what else? A long time ago, no. Dude, I'm scrolling up. Wouldn't it be easier to create safe for ads version of RCR? Well, that's what... I wonder if I pause streaming on my phone, if I can actually see. Someone say something. Sorry that I'm doing. There it goes. Which alphas would make a good review? It's a good question. I don't know. So isolation seems to be a theme with you. Do you feel that coming out has been a help or hindrance in your life? Asks the baked potato. Double-edged sword. I am more comfortable going to queer-friendly parties, which has helped, but it has hurt me a little bit here at home. There are some people who I was associated with, or some I'd call friends, some are associates, but some people didn't want anything to do with me. So there does exist in the automotive spheres, homophobia still exists, as it does everywhere. But being that car culture on a whole skews machismo, I expected that. So I don't want to live in rural Pennsylvania anymore. I'm going to move down into the suburbs because the only two people I have any sort of relationship with is my landlord who owns this building and the owner of the coffee shop I go to. Now I am part of the town planning committee. I'm a board member, but those people are associates. I don't really, they're not confidants. So anybody who I associate with doesn't live around here because I don't really feel like I have any I have very little in common with the people around here because you live in this part of Pennsylvania to just have a kid, raise a family, and do life by the book, right? Right. I should probably text Kurt and see how Jim's doing at the ER. NVC says moving away from my smaller hometown to Melbourne really helped a lot with that. New people I could have a fresh start with and just go direct to the queer culture side. Yeah, like if I have time in Melbourne, I just want to go to a gay bar. No one knows me there. Can I just go? I hope it's not going to be just another version of Woody's from Philly where you go to a gay bar and it doesn't really have a vibe. It's just a college bar with a bunch of rainbows on the wall. Life by the book is wildly fucking overrated, says S. I agree. I wonder if I full screen this on my phone, if we really... Oh, yeah, the quality goes up. Okay, cool. NVC, I don't really do bars, so I can't help you there. Sorry, says NVC. The original guy again says, as much as I'd like to have space for a huge garage and acres of projects, I'd rather be in an inclusive community and neighborhood. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I could afford a very nice place up here in the hills. But then I just get to hang around people who just watch network news all day. Great. You know, they come to the gym and they just turn on the news and they crank the gym. So it's like the people at the bar, the people in the cardio room at the gym, the weight room, there's no TVs in there, but the cardio room where all the machines are, they have TVs in there. Now, normally, like, there's 2 TVs on the far wall. They're turned on to the music station, so that's your music, and they're kind of cranked. Then there are a bunch of other TVs playing sports, and they're all muted. And then there's a few people who come into the gym, they go right to the TVs, they turn on the news, they get the remote, and they turn up the volume. So now we have this cacophony of top 40 music on to which whatever the crisis of the hour is. And so I turn my headphones up more. Today I was listening to a whole lot of Green Day. Any new IPAs recently? No, but we got Troganator back there, and I'm definitely going to have a bottle. So I'm just going to have a look-see, see if Kurt said anything about Jim. Any updates? Maybe I should just call him and put the mic to him. That'd be fun. Try balance, wanting to live rurally, but also wanting to be a more an accepting place. Yeah. So Lansdale, anywhere in Montgomery, Pennsylvania, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania is a lot better than up here. Is there a new Wii? A new Nintendo Wii, asks Evan P. I don't know why. Gulamine Gangne says, speaking of alphas, I think I have a fascination with the 916 Spider / GTV, mostly the VR6. Alphas after falling in love while playing MAR on Dreamcast. I don't know what MAR is. And after hearing Clarkson wax poetic about it. I have yet to drive an Alpha that didn't just feel like a car. I have yet to get Alphas. I don't get it yet. So someone needs to bring me an Alfa Romeo so I can understand it. I understand Porsches. That was a conversation I had with a hiker. He says, what do you think of Porsches? And I gave him the honest answer. It's like, I really don't. I drove a 1980 911 SC, and that was kind of neat. They feel very precise, very cold, and they don't really feel like they need me. Right? Porsches, I'd love for Spike Ferriston to maybe explain it to me, to try to teach me how to get it, how to understand Porsches. Because when I get into a Porsche, it just feels like I'm getting examined at a clinic by a very professional but reserved doctor, and I know I'm going to get treated well, and I know I'm in good hands. But I'm thinking about something else. I'm thinking about whether the medication I'm going to get is going to allow me to have a beer that night. Or I'm wondering how much this is going to cost me. Right? That's what I'm thinking of when I'm in a Porsche. Ooh, this is expensive. Don't crash it. I have never been in the moment with a Porsche in the way I have been in a small stick shift Honda, where the moments of happiness in a Honda lie in between the shifts. As the revs come down and you crackle and you hammer back on, or you clunk, clunk, right, and you do the double clutch and you match it perfectly. That's the happiness that I really enjoy. A small, lightweight car that's a little underpowered, but it's doing everything it can to hang on. A little scrappy thing. That's what excites me. And I've never really had that kind of feeling in a Porsche, which maybe that's not what a Porsche is for. So I'd like someone to explain to me how to understand Porsches. And when I'm thinking this in my head, I'm thinking like 1970s air-cooled stuff. Even at Harris Hill, the Porsche I was driving, at Harris Hill I was driving was a freaking Sharkworks. That thing was built to be romped around a track. And I did not belong behind the wheel of that thing. It required I am not a good track driver. I think I'm pretty good in the snow. In the same way, I'm a pretty good skier. But I sometimes make myself car sick on a track. And I also, when I'm on a track, I'm not interested in racing well. When I'm on a track, I'm not interested in doing it correctly. I want to treat it like a go-kart track and just fuck around. That's all I want to do when I get a car on a track. That's why the most fun I've had on a racetrack, it was at Harris Hill, and it was within a Buick Century or something, right? That is the most fun I've had on a track, is in a big old American dumpy front engine plowy boat that's just lumbering around the track, but I'm trying to make it move. That's what I like. I like the absurdity of it. Put me in a Sharkworks going around the track. It's like, oh, okay, this is no longer racing. This is homework. This is training. I'm being graded. There's a right way and a wrong way to do this. When I go to a track, I just want to do everything the wrong way and have fun. The original Glitch says, sounds like you need more lemons in your life then. Okay, so first of all, a Lemons car is like still $20,000 once you're done modifying it, because it has to pass tech. And even those people, like people who race Lemons races, it's still racing. It's still, you still have to be good to an extent. I'm not interested in competing. All I want to do really on a track is kind of F around with a few other people and have it be fun. Like have an afternoon. What about a Dodge Hornet? It's an Alpha with a Dodge badge slapped on it. I'm interested in driving a Dodge Hornet. You get unreliable Italian manufacturing with an undesirable American badge. It's perfect. Yeah, someone please bring us a Dodge Hornet. I'd love to get in with that. S says the most fun I've ever had on a track was a Miata with a mild tuned exhaust and still naturally aspirated. Absolute blast. Yeah, I had fun on a track in an NC Miata. That was fun. But even the NC Miata was still too good. Oh, no, wait. Was it an NC? Yeah, it was an NC. Even the NC Miata was still good. S says that would require someone buying a Dodge Hornet first. Yeah. And half the review would be me just asking someone, why did you buy a Dodge Hornet? I did have a good time in Steph Strader's Lancer, yes. Seriously, Cycle Carts. Check them out after the show. It's a soapbox racer with a lawnmower engine on it. Chitty chitty bang bang kind of thing. Interesting. Okay. So Kurt says EKG is perfect. His blood pressure is through the roof. All right. So I don't know what happens now. Bloodletting. You just let a little bit of it out. Blood pressure goes down. I'm sure they'll put him on something. We're supposed to go on this mini trip tomorrow. But I kind of don't want to go because it means getting up in the morning. Because like I arrange my entire life based on, do I not have to set an alarm? Because if there's one thing I enjoy better than the money, that I make from regular car reviews is that an alarm clock has no power over me. And that's one of the most joyous things about doing YouTube is every morning I sleep until I wake up. And for most of my life, I did not have that freedom. Every morning, because I used to be a teacher, it was as brutal as a teacher as it was as a student, hearing that alarm clock go off at 6:30 in the morning. And then, guess what? You're right back there again, getting into my cold car, my Toyota Echo, and the car was freezing. And for some reason, even though I was wearing a suit coat and pants, it was even colder. Something about dress pants. They make you colder than shorts. They somehow amplify the winter air. They felt like I was wearing paper bags on my legs. I'd get into my stick shift Toyota Echo, and the steering wheel was cold, and the gear shifter was cold. Don't turn on the heater, because then it'll just blow cold. Toyota Echo did not have a temperature gauge, just an idiot light. And I would drive and wait for that blue light to turn off. There was a little blue light that says the engine was cold. And when that blue light turned off, it meant the thermostat had opened, and what little heat that tiny engine made could finally start coming out of the vents. But that was usually 5 minutes before I arrived at the school. And I parked my car that finally got warm. And now it's time to open the door and step out into the cold again. And there were some days teaching where I never fully woke up. The whole day felt like morning. And I would go home, and it always felt like winter for whatever reason. Time moved very, very slowly in the way it doesn't now. I would drive home west into the sun. And that's one of the things about the more northern states during the wintertime. If your work is if your work is east of you, that means you will be driving into the sun on the way to work and into the sun on the way home. And I drove home with an extra set of sunglasses that I would put on top of my existing sunglasses. During those bits where the road rose into the sun even more, and the visor could not block. I had to look at the sun to see the road, because it was 3:48 p.m. Sometimes it was 3:50 p.m. and that sun was in that perfect spot on the road going home. And then it would be 4 o'clock, and I had to methodically change out of my nice clothes and immediately put on the gym shorts and gym shirt and turn around and just go out the door now. Because if you don't go now, you're going to run out of time. The clock was already ticking. I needed to hurry up and go to the gym so I could hurry up and eat dinner, so I could hurry up and make a sandwich and stuff for the next day, so I could hurry up and do laundry and hurry up and go to bed. You better be in bed by 10 p.m. You need those 8 hours. And I wish there was an invention that when I hit the snooze button would stop time. Or rather, stop time in a bubble around my bed where I could sleep until I was satisfied. And the trade-off was that those, say, few hours that I would continue sleeping, they would be taken off my life. So I would age every time I hit the snooze button, like an extra 2 hours. But I would take that. I would take those hits against my lifespan if it meant sleeping full cycles. So that's what I do now. Every night I sleep until I wake up. But tonight, if Jim is feeling fine, that means I need to, after this podcast, hurry up and go to bed. Because we need to wake up tomorrow at like 8 a.m., and that's way too early for me. I go to bed at like, 12:30. But stupid me, I stare at my phone until 1. And I don't fall asleep very easily. So it may take another half an hour to really fall asleep. And then I'll sleep until like 6:30. That rhythm, that 5-hour rhythm, I'll sometimes kind of blink myself awake at 6:30. I'll look at my phone for a little bit and then go back to bed until maybe 6, 7, 8, 9. I'll be awake again. I'll look at my phone, but I'm not quite ready to leave my bed yet. So I'll put my phone down again at 9 and fall asleep until 10. So every night I am lying down in bed for at least 9 hours. And then I wake up, come down here and start editing. And that almost feels civilized to me. And is that the solid, uninterrupted sleep every single night I find more valuable than any sponsorship or money that I get. Back to the chat. Biphasic sleep patterns, sleep without my phone. Well, the thing, Brandon, is I like having my phone while I sleep because I like listening to music. There's a very nice podcast I listen to called Low Light Mixes. Wholeheartedly recommend it. And it's just sort of ambient music, like John Cusack and High Fidelity. I don't want something to listen to. I just want something I can ignore. Because sleeping in silence for me is very difficult because I'm always thinking words. So going to sleep without music to drown it out, like Wesley Willis, it's very annoying because I was like, great, I get to hear my internal monologue that's just going about stuff almost on its own. I don't hear voices. I know it's me, but it's just like a catalog of stuff going on. Whereas if I have like an Alan Watts lecture or air traffic control or the shipping forecast, that's nice. That sort of attenuates the noise in my head and makes it easier to fall asleep. Banamaru says, yeah, I understand. I feel the same way. Zach Pollitt says, in college, I used to have a strong Honeywell fan running. I understand people with white noise. I hate white noise. I don't like it. I don't even like a fan. Love the sound of crickets. I also love the sound of the garbage truck. But I love it because I know I don't have to do a job like that. That's mean. But I do feel that way. On any other way, I guess it's a way of thinking like, oh, there's still a world out there. The original says, Philly's right for you then. Oh, yeah, just to have like a game on in the background, I could fall asleep to that. You know what I also like falling asleep to? Old episodes of Wall Street Week with Louis Rukeyser. That shit will send me right to sleep. Well-tempered businessmen having dry but well-informed conversations. Zach Pollock says, Pollock, yeah. Polish and Lithuanian and Czechoslovakian names are very natural. They settled around in this part of Pennsylvania, so, having a name like Abershinsky or something like that is normal. Zach says, my sister went to Ring Baloney once, Ring Baloney twice. We're from Kutztown. Ain't that nice? Neon XS7 says, I love those lazy late-night turbo diesels you hear trucking along. Yeah. Not going to lie, I love the sound of a Jake brake in the distance. Efficiency. Sometimes you hear someone in a distance with a diesel turbo taking forever to spool up. It's like, I like that. The Baked Potato says, any plans to visit Austin, Texas again? Not at this time, though. Charles Carling says, I've seen some no Jake brake signs around Pennsylvania. Yeah, I mean, there's no getting around. Compression brakes are loud, and some towns do have noise ordinances. So, and I said, because sometimes you have people who live right on the side of some of these 2-lane state highways that are still popular shipping routes. So imagine how much it sucks to live in a row home on a hill when there's trucks going up and down all day, and you get to hear that just coming right through your walls. Okay, how long have we been going? Any updates from what's the plan? It's half an hour later, just asked Kurt, what's the plan? They may give him a shot of something. They may give him ketamine. It's like last time that Jim had problems. They sent him down the K-hole. He says it was awesome. Yeah, but the three of us need to have a real conversation to see if we're going to ask that guy to just walk around all day tomorrow at a swap meet. Mr. Headcrab says, I agree. I live next to an asphalt plant. Surprisingly soothing, but crazy dusk. Yeah, that sucks. Brandon B-Views, scrolling back up here, says, I've been to a lot of therapy, and even a single therapist said to keep the phone out of the bedroom. To what end, though? I mean, I like having the phone in the bedroom. Well, because my life is like terminally online. Like any interactions I have, the most meaningful interactions I have during the day are through the phone. So that's that. Man, I want a guest here for this. But thank you for joining me for this sort of thing. Mark Johnson says, yeah, oh man, I hope he recovers quickly. Do I have a sim set up? No. No, I don't play simulation games. I don't have a racing sim. I drive cars for a living, so I don't really have a desire to play. The only thing I have desire to play is like race driving, but like an old arcade game because it's like going down memory lane, hard driving and race driving. Kevin M.N. says, not sure if you know this, but beetroot powder or beets can immediately help hypertension. Maybe that was someone talking to someone else in the chat. Charles Carning says, do you play video games at all? I do from time to time, but most of them are a game down memory lane for me. Like, I've been replaying again Borderlands 2. When I play a video game, I'm not looking to get stimulated. I just want to turn my brain off for a little bit. That's what I want. The same thing that I want when I'm listening to podcasts in bed or ambient music or the shipping forecast. I just want my brain to turn off. So that's something I do. Some games I play. I played Death Stranding. That was nice. It's a very low drama game. Skipped every single cutscene. I don't care. And then what else? Skyrim was great. Skyrim was amazing. I think I played that more than anything. Rocky says you play a lot of rhythm games and high score based games. Rhythm games, not really my jam. My brother likes them a lot. I tried to like them. They don't tickle my fancy, as they say. What's my favorite game console? Were you a Nintendo or Sega kid? Growing up, it was a Sega Genesis. Yeah, Streets of Rage 2 is almost like the Dark Side of the Moon, or maybe Houses of the Holy of video games. God, their soundtrack's amazing. Have you watched Grand Theft Auto 5 roleplay? I didn't even know that was a thing. Jacob asks, what does my brother do? Conveniently enough, he is a therapist. The background of Death Stranding cracked me up. Sorry, your Amazon is late. My baby started screaming at a ghost. Yeah, exactly. Did you see you see in Grand Theft Auto the cars are more realistic to the design of real cars? No. Like the last Grand Theft Auto, the last Grand Theft Auto I played was San Andreas. Don't really care. Based Blue Moon. Not sure if you're referring to my seltzer or something else that someone says. Wait, is that Blue Moon? No, it's a seltzer. What are your thoughts on increasing grill sizes in American pickup trucks? I mean, I think what they're doing is they got to fill the whole front of that grill with something. They need to actually find like negative space. I think they're trying to hide how big the front of the car is by creating different segments or themes for your eye to follow or focus on. In the same way, when your flight is delayed, they never tell you, like, look, this is a 3-hour delay. You know, they break it up into 20-minute segments so it doesn't feel so bad, right? I think that's where car design or truck design is right now. The grill has to hide the boxy shape or the slab fronted shape of the car. Some people do it very well. Chevy does an okay job at it. When you talk about SUVs, Lexus does it very, very poorly. They have that, the car looked like it bit into a lemon, that front. That's pretty bad. Nissan Frontier looks okay. The Ford Maverick, although that's not that big, still has an okay front to it. Dodge got around it by putting the word Ram just got bigger and bigger and bigger. That distracts your eyeballs. The Baked Potato says, have you seen I Saw the TV Glow? I don't know what that means. Is that some analog horror thing? Local Traveler, responding to Chris, says, I grew up on Cape Cod. Provincetown is one of my favorite places to visit. Have been there in a while. He would love it, I think. The Racing Mind says the GMC Sierra looks the best in my opinion. Yeah. I'm going to go back, check on Kurt. There's no response. Kurt says they're giving him an injection of something that is kosher with his other concoction of heart meds that should lower his blood pressure. Okay. He's getting a jab of something. In my opinion, I think he should go back home. Like, if we were the night before, he's allowed to make his own decisions. I think we should just take him out to breakfast tomorrow morning, have a time. I don't need to make content with this swap meet or whatever tomorrow. Alex Garnus says, I wish modern trucks weren't so freaking tall. Real fart. As a 6-foot dude, I shouldn't need to stand on the hood to work on it. That is a pain, isn't it? You need to get the scaffolding in just to work on the truck. Because it's not like the engine is tall. You can fit an LS into a Colorado, an old one, like a fleet vehicle. Someone says I'm scared of getting hit by a pickup. Well, the good news is that big front face, yeah, that's mostly plastic. That's all bark and no bite. You open the hood, it's like, yeah, there's structure in it, but all the hitty and metal parts are down low. As a pedestrian, oh, okay. Well, the thing is, and getting smacked as a pedestrian by a now, I'm saying this with very little research other than, one word. I'm of the opinion that modern trucks, despite how large they are, in the event of striking a pedestrian, a modern truck is safer than a truck from the, 90s or 80s or 70s. The front design of trucks and also cars with the new slab front is that we have something called pedestrian safety. The car must be able to strike a human being at some speed that I don't know right now and be able to not cut the person in half. And I watched this happen in real time. One time I watched a pedestrian get hit by like a Camry or something. It was a case of one person's not looking and the other person's not thinking. But I watched the pedestrian get hit and they were just sort of pushed. Now, of course, they were swept off their feet and thrown up onto the hood of the car and then thrown back. But they didn't get their legs broken or chopped off. Pedestrian safety works like this. Hey, I have a big 2x6 board of lumber. Do you want to get hit by the edge or do you want to get hit by the big flat part? Both sucks, but one sucks less. So that's why you have big flat fronts on vehicles and trucks right now. So you can smack someone, silent fart, and they got a fighting chance instead of being cut in half. I mean, look at old Chevy C10s. That's kind of a narrow front end to a truck, and that could really mess you up. Brandon Bevu says, also the National Institute of Highway Traffic Safety doesn't have any pedestrian safety regulations. It's not an issue in the U.S. Huh. Well, then maybe it was all anecdotes that I just said right there. Huh. The Racing Mind says there are no pedestrian standards for trucks in the U.S., just cars. Interesting. Huh. Well, I stand corrected. Thank you for pointing that out as I continue to pass gas. So when Kurt and Jim come back here, they'll be greeted to a nice smelly room. Okay. Well, that's that. So I'm definitely not going to use that as a clip, right? Right. S says it wouldn't be RCR without flatulence. That's another thing. If I go on someone else's podcast, I should probably bring this microphone with me and just say, look, I'm going to be farting into the mic. I brought my own. It's the Costanza that says your old Weather Channel voice is missed. Why, thank you. I'm not opposed to doing another Weather Channel stuff. The Jacob Shapiro asks, is this the same NH, the truck definition applies to cafe? It's a good question, maybe. Not sure. Does the mic get pooticles? That's a good question. You would fit in with Mark Normad. Mark Norman? Normad. Always farting. He does it with every podcast. Okay. Zach Pollock says, yesterday I had Bing Bang noodles. Look it up. So gassy lately. If you brought your mic to someone else's podcast, would you at least change the marshmallow? Oh, that's a good question. Sorry, this is going to sound weird. Would I change the marshmallow? I mean, I have more muffs. Sorry for the peeking there. I suppose I could change it if I wanted to. For content, one of the reasons flip up headlights, okay, is the mic brown. Yeah. The mic is a Shure, that's what I'm talking about, is a Shure SM48, which is similar to a 58. The 58 is the one you can beat up and throw around. The 48 is if you want the sound of a 58, but you don't, it has the same internals, just a cheaper body. It's made for having the SM58, SM57 or SM58 sound in your mix, but knowing that you don't need the tank of a microphone because it's never gonna be abused. It's never gonna leave the studio. A Beta 58. No, this is a Shure. It's not a Beta 58. It's a Shure SM48. I really feel like a beer right now. It's 9:42. I don't have to wait. Do I have enough mic cable? Do I have enough mic cable to reach the fridge? I think I have enough mic cable to reach the fridge. Troganator. It's been a while since I had this. 8.2%. Chocolate type beer. No, you can't see it, but you can hear it. Head. Yummy. To you, cheers to Jim and his blood pressure and the medication that's going intravenously into him right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hope someone clipped that. A Mr. Regular Drunk podcast would be like, oh, we used to get hammered on podcasts, but that's not really a thing anymore. As I age, 2 beers is fine. 2 beers is all I need. I hate being hungover, even the slightest. I hate having headaches. I hate feeling under the weather. I hate feeling weak. I hate having bad mornings. Plus, I know no one's going to make me come when I finish drinking the beer. No little 125-pound big dick twink is going to crawl all over me when I'm done. Nothing's going to happen. It's just going to be me and my fantasies. Lying in bed, getting hard, getting up, finding a bath towel, going into the guest room, beating off in the guest bed, on the guest bed, coming on the towel that's on my chest, sitting there for a minute, mopping off my dick, walking naked down the hall, going into the bathroom, throwing the towel in the hamper, washing my dick and balls in the sink, drying them off, and then going back to bed in my normal bed. That's what happens. That's reality. Mr. Regulars likes being the big spoon, it seems. Yeah, either or. I mean, I like to feel both options. The Jacob Shapiro says, note to self, never sleep in Mr. Regular's guest bed. I wash the covers sometimes. So, you seem like a spoon, little spoon. I mean, I like both. I like the little spoon. I like the big spoon. Too much trauma to be a top. I don't like penetrative sex. I don't. It just seems like I'm trying out for wrestling. It just doesn't really work for me. Because I just think about how sweaty I'm getting in the bed. Don't really like it. I just like teasing someone else and they'll tease me and then we'll both lie next to each other and beat off. That's where oh yes, Charles says regular fraud reviews. That's also a classic as well. Thank you for calling me Mr. Versatile. Well, that was a one hell of a play-by-play, Cotton. Yep. What about WWE wrestling? Does that work in bed? From the top rope. Man, those old ones where they used to go off ladders. I guess they still go off ladders these days. Local Traveler says relationships seem all well and good, but then you can't jerk off whenever you want unless you really have the perfect partner. That's going to be a thing. That's right. Whoever I end up with has to be totally cool with me going into the computer, like the home office. I mean, obviously wouldn't work here because it's right there. My computer is right there. Whoever I end up being with has to be cool with me beating off on my own and they're not part of it. There's a clip for you. What's the timestamp on this? I don't know. It's going to be difficult making shorts out of this. Hey. People are going to want the shorts. It's probably like the shorts that I'm going to make when I have like a fun, snappy short to make. They don't really come in the form of a main podcast, I guess, unless Kurt was still here and then I could get riled up about something. But that makes sense. Like, whoever I end up being with has to be cool with me looking at porn on my own that's separate from them. But also understand in a very... I know it's like an old Seinfeld bit, but it's literally going to be an oil change. Don't think about this. It has nothing to do with you. The one Kia says it's a deep cut. I forgot about Grand Counselor Varmon. Yeah. Forey says, I hope Jim is okay. Yeah, going back. Still nothing. Strangest places you've choked the chicken. Oh, there you go. There's a clip for you. The wildest places I've beat off. Let's see. Number one is definitely going to be the trunk of my Toyota Echo. Because I had a break from work, not when I was teaching. This was something else. And I had a break and I could leave the building. And I made a little bed in the back, in the trunk of my Honda Fit. And what I would do is, because I would have like an hour for lunch, I would eat lunch at my desk while working. And I would go outside to my car, as long as it wasn't, this was great in the winter months. I would get in the trunk. I would take off my shoes, put them inside the car, walk back in my socks to the trunk, and get in my little nest in there, and I'd close the trunk lid, and I would have a 45-minute nap. Uninterrupted. I would curl up into a ball in the trunk of a Toyota Echo. Kind of roomy back there. And I would have a little pillow, and I had a sleeping bag I turned inside out. It was quite nice. Maybe an extra blanket if I got cold in the wintertime, and I would take a nap. But one time I got horny, and I beat off in the trunk of my 2002 Toyota Echo. And then I had to mop myself up with like a shirt that I had back there. DJ Fair says that YouTube's trying to ban your messages. I don't know. Yeah, it's like under the desk, a bed there. Yeah. Yeah, my Echo's long gone. Corporate culture JO sesh. Is that the car that I reviewed? Yes, the very first RCR video. I beat off in the trunk of that Toyota Echo. Nathan Lee Phillips said he jerked off in the parking lot of a laundromat in the backseat of his 1992 Oldsmobile Custom Cruiser wagon. Yeah. Respect. What's the weirdest thing you have cranked to? Mine was Madonna by Edwards Much. Waterfalls by TLC. It was on the radio. Like, I had a radio, a little GE radio. Man, I wish I could find that GE radio. It was a mono radio. Just this little square thing. Yeah. It had an antenna that you couldn't move left or right. And had a tape cassette in it. Bad tape cassette player. Man, I am going to look. See, if I look on eBay right now, I'm not going to do the podcast. If I look for one of those radios, the original cast says eBay has it. So I got a boombox from the Racquetball Club where we film. And that's a perfectly good, like, 90s style boombox. 2 tape cassette players, CD player, and everything. Regular Facebook Marketplace reviews would be a great episode. Yeah, we could load a bunch of things. I could roast your cars. Charles Carning says for Affinity or E621. Well, obviously E621, you don't need to log in to see anything. E621 is great when you're on the road and you need to crank it in a hotel room somewhere and you need some inspiration. But what if you forget your Fur Affinity login? The original guy said I recorded all the songs off my Sanyo boombox radio. Respect. Men's room of the J. Edgar Hoover building during a school trip. No, really? DJ Fair says he beat it in the backseat of his 2004 Dodge Intrepid with... No, see, I think you're making that up. That seems too perfect. Sandstorm was on the radio? Really? What, was it followed up by Better Off Alone? The 5-disc one? No, the boombox only has one. Okay. Anything I should say to Kurt? Did the shot work? Don't judge me, Mr. Plain Spanker. Faded Alan Walker beat it. Okay, so now everybody in the chat is just talking about how they cranked it in various places. Thank you. More farting, please. Don't worry, it'll happen. It happens when it happens. New RCR rating category should be how good the car is for janking. Respect. Oh, I like Troganator. I like beers that are still good once the carbonation is gone, which really just means high alcohol content beers. Troganator is such a hit. Love it. The pianist source. My takeaway is wherever it may be, somebody's beat off there. Yeah. Can't rush the farts. Bad things happen. Yeah, that's where you get a shart. Well, this has been a good podcast. I regret not having Kurt here. I suppose we'll find out what's going to happen, right? This has been an odd evening. But, well, the podcast will be, says, okay, so Jim is under observation at the hospital. They said it's coming down. When Jim came through the door, his blood pressure was 230 over 105, and now it's 178 over 85. I wonder how you check your blood pressure at home. Something I never had to do. I think I naturally have low blood pressure, and my last blood analysis or blood test says I have elevated red blood cells. I also get dizzy a lot when I stand up too quick, and it also happens when I smoke weed too much. It's like I'm in a permanent state of standing up too quick. You know, seeing sparkling stuff and vision's a little blurry. Of course, I do cardio all the frickin' time. I just said that's good. That's coming down. One of those cuffs like you see in CVS. Oh, okay. High blood pressure sucks. Have you considered you may have anemia? Don't know what that is. Mr. Headcrab sounds like an iron deficiency. Okay. Start smoking weed out of cast iron. Get some iron. Okay. I mean, I can go get doesn't iron come in like multivitamins? I take that quite a bit. Hey, Brian, good to see you. Hopefully Jim will be better. Yeah, I'll be fine. The Jacob says you want a Pontiac G8, perfect fun. So you want a Holden. Can't argue with that. Toes a boat. Anemia is an iron deficiency. Eat your cornflakes, sir. Hey, man, if that's an excuse to eat cereal again, I'll take it. I mean, is there other ways to get iron? Anemia. I want a Pontiac G8 Ute, don't we all? I really just want a Honda today, right now. Hey, you don't have to feel like you're the odd one out if you don't smoke weed or drink. You honestly have a more healthier life than the rest of us. Noel says, Holdens go hard, not going to lie, so G80 is a great choice. Yeah, it is. Yeah, you can get iron supplements. Oh, okay. You really want that today, do you? Yeah. I mean, that's a nice... having a Honda today is going to be... They're not going anywhere. They made plenty of them. Is a nice little treat for myself when I get a house, right? We've been doing filming with the Nairo last two film shoots and not my 4Runner. So it comes into question whether or not I want to keep my third-gen 4Runner or not, even though it's a freaking awesome 4x4, and I have a super clean one. So there's the idea that, this 4Runner is worth something. Of course, my 4Runner also has an aftermarket cat on it, so it's always throwing the check engine light. So that's a point against it. Hey, we have a super chat. Thank you so much, Yeen Idiot. Furry, too. Respect. Love the podcast, as always, says Yeen Idiot. How do I find out about them ahead of time so I try not to miss them? You don't, unfortunately. It's not a scheduled thing yet. The podcast will come out when it comes out, but the good news is now that we're using the XA60 as the main cam, the feed from this main cam will go up on our main channel, but it will not be sent to subscriber feeds. So this will just be a raw cut of it, and you'll be able to watch this at your leisure. So that's that. Um, until the podcast goes up, like on, iTunes eventually. Today's video in the Mark 7 hit me hard today. I'm almost 50. What's the present day version of the Mark 7? That's a good question. So what is a car people drive around today that is kind of like a car for has-beens? Something that's tries to be classy but isn't. And that's an interesting question that you bring that up, because personal luxury cars are gone. The last one may have been the Toyota SC400. But I don't really count that as a personal luxury car. Well, I suppose it is, yeah. It's kind of a Grand Tour. Coupe, I think, is just registered as. But that's a very, very well-made car. And personal luxury cars are often made to look rich, look prestigious, but they're really, really not. So what would be a good modern version of a Lincoln Mark 7? Is GM coming out with any sort of garbage? More so than what they normally do. No, they're just making a whole bunch of crossovers. You know, Infiniti Q Series. There it is. A poor person's rich car is an Infiniti. That's where it is now. Infinitis used to be awesome back in the 90s. They're not now. And I feel bad picking on Nissan, but let's be honest. The what is it? The Infiniti Q60? Piece of, like, bedazzled shite. You know, the joke is it's like a Karen SUV. It's the official SUV for people who want to wake up in the morning and just walk down a long hallway filled with people apologizing to them. They've been wrong. They live a life where they've been wronged so many times in real life and in their own imagination and their dreams. They want to feel vindicated, but are not willing to change their lifestyle in any way. Infiniti, yeah. Am I getting close? Does that sound good? Do you want a G35 6-speed? But damn, I can't even think about having one. Does Infiniti even make sedans still? Infiniti, Jacob says Infiniti can't escape that it's a Nissan, and nobody with who knows what's going on is buying a Nissan in 2024, fortunately. Every clean manual G35 or G70 has been ruined. Yeah, they have. And even the transmission out of those things is the one thing that links up pretty good with a transmission, and those are fine according to Matt Happel. Sorry, Matt. That's somebody I want on the podcast. I will travel to Matt's house with my Zoom recorder and all this stuff and record a podcast with him. And then really, if we do that, we don't really have to have these mics. I mean, it's nice to have these mics, but we would probably well, I don't know. Maybe we could use my laptop. My laptop may work because there's only 2 USB ports going into that computer over there. USB coming out of the camera and the USB coming out of the mixing board. So if I use the Zoom H6, I think that I have upstairs, I can take 2 mics in. So we'd need 3 plugs. We need a laptop plug. We need to plug in the XA60, and we need to plug in the Zoom recorder, and we'd also need just the DIJ mics or DJI, can't remember, just to grab the stuff from the mixer from the headphone out, and that should be good. They still shit out Versas, like the only subcompact they get. Yeah. Yeah, it would get ruined by the winter. I like the 350Z that we had in the 370Z. They're just kind of like the anti-Corvette to me. Landmine says, my dad used to have a Q50. I think that was the rebadged Ultima. The thing hauled ass. He got T-boned in it a few years ago. Missed that car. That sucks. DJ Fair says the only decent Nissan right now is the Frontier. No CVT and better features than the Tacoma. See, that's the thing. Okay. Like, I can get more features in the Nissan Frontier than I can get in the Toyota Tacoma. Yeah, or the Toyota Tacoma. Yeah, but Toyota doesn't have to have the latest features because they know they're still going to sell because the build quality is off the charts. Yes, the Tundras right now had a problem with a little bit of burrs happening in their engine from the crank and everything like that. But guess what? When Toyota encounters a problem, they fix it. As opposed to everybody else that applies the formula from Fight Club and said if X is greater than Y, we don't do a recall. And I know I'm just sucking Toyota's dick here, but, get on the winning team. Man, it is 10 p.m. Thank you for everybody who is coming with this podcast, even though it's just you and me tonight. Jacob says Nissan actually has to make the case to people that they should buy a Nissan. People showing up to the Toyota dealership have already decided they buy a Toyota. Yeah, it's pretty much like at a Toyota dealership, it's like we're talking about leases or we're talking about buying it with cash, and that's pretty much it. Although the local Toyota dealership has been nice, but every single salesperson I talk to is a complete dumbass. I know more about, I know it's unfair. Like everybody watching this show, we all know more about the vehicle than any single salesperson in there. I always wondered, would I make a good salesperson? I'd be like, yeah, buy the Toyota. They're great. I wonder, what it takes. I like talking to people. I like talking about the cars. But I guess I wonder if half of it is just getting beat up by people who want to haggle. I suppose I wouldn't be a good haggling person. I would just say, no, it'll be that. And have to do it with us. That's like the weird part of the game of sales. I wonder what it's like in other countries. Do other countries have like a dealer network, or is it where everything's a barter system and you play back and forth? Frontiers have got the lower transfer case. Okay, so they have more aggressive gearing. Give us a sales pitch and we can vote. Sales pitch once. Nate Lee Phillips says, I hate haggling. Just give me a price. Yeah, and if you do that, if you hate haggling, just buy stuff on Cars and Bids. Sort by no reserve and just buy something right there. Outbid everybody else. Zach Pollock says, car enthusiasts make the worst salespeople. I suppose because we'd give an honest answer like, look, no car's perfect. This does this well. This does that well. Car salespeople not knowing about cars is a feature, not a bug. They don't sell cars. They sell used cars as bait to sell bad debt. And there you go. The more you know about cars, the less okay you are about selling them. Yeah. DJ Fair says no, because in other countries, manufacturers can't really sell directly to the customer, and even if they do, they have to be completely transparent. Texas has similar laws to EU sales regulations, really. Man, I've been talking for probably like 2 hours now. Well, maybe we got started at 9. Okay, Kurt says, I will believe we will be out soon. Blood pressure is back down to a normal level. They can't find anything wrong at this point, so they're just ruling it as his body having a late reaction to medication because he did start new blood pressure meds a few days ago, and those can sometimes take a few days to a week to really normalize, apparently. Okay, Kurt says we just got discharged, so they're only like 2 miles away, so they'll probably be rolling in here pretty soon. I am podcasting. Come on in and grab the mic. I already had one beer. You got some catch up to do. TRO Troganator. All right. Hopefully they'll be in good spirits. So, all right. Yay, Jim, Zach Pollux, who last WRX really had the strength guy. So we'll probably just keep rolling around here. How much is this camera has been rolling this whole time? How much is left? Oh, 2 hours and 25 minutes. That is left. We got a big card in here. Awesome. So we can go for at least another hour. Cool. So I guess we're going to keep this thing going here. Well, for those of you watching after the fact, I am going to take a quick break for the people who are watching, the actual produced video that went up on our main channel. I am going to eat another bowl of food to help the beer go down. And then you're going to skip this bit, but for the people who are watching this live, you get to watch me eat food. Exquisite. Okay, we just turned off the camera, and we're going to take a break here for a second. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. So we still only have one audio source, right? It is just, yeah. I'm going to turn on the other mic just so he has it when we get back.
deceased.
Yeah. Kurt, how was the how was the Lehigh Valley Hospital?
It was awesome. I had a great
It was
time.
awesome.
I've
You know
never-
what's wonderful is just hearing one terrible thing after another being eliminated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like what?
I'm not dying. I'm
No,
not dying.
your heart is in your, wonderful stuff like, your heart is in stasis, it's okay, no sign of any stroke, no sign of a heart attack. And again, I guess checking things off, which are all good things.
Mm-hmm.
And you heard the reason, or did that?
I
Yeah.
texted Kurt, but he said, what?
The reason is,
I
they
think
said,
it was sort of
sometimes they said things just go fucking crazy, a couple of days in with blood pressure.
Yeah, they said up to a week or 2 weeks after new blood pressure meds, it could do something really crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it did.
All right.
All
You
right.
feel fine?
I feel fine.
Did they give you ketamine?
No.
I wish we got to. I wish we got to podcast with Jim. Coming
You
up
look
with
like you need a
whole-
beer.
I'll take one.
You like chocolate stouts?
I've never had one. I've never
Okay.
tried one.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna do a quick costume change.
Okay. Oh,
It won't be Broadway fast, but
Oh, okay.
Oh, right.
It was really nice not dying.
I just wanted to shoot on camera.
Cancel. We want text. There it is. Kurt is back, and Jim
Is not dead.
is not dead.
Parenthesis yet.
Is that the new title?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What an asshole. Speaking of Jim, not you. But
What do you mean an asshole?
I said you're not an asshole for not dying.
Well,
Very inconvenient.
oh, come on.
All right, Jim, have a producer's seat.
Thank
here.
you. Good. Can I have a glass of water?
You may.
Thank you. Non-alcoholic at this point. I don't want to push my luck.
Maybe that's a good thing. Can I have a bowl of something?
Yes.
Put in my body.
Yes.
I still haven't eaten since lunch.
Roasted vegetables, not cold.
I'll take all of
Ground
them.
chicken, actually, it's kind of warm. And you need something to scoop with.
Rice scoop, thank you.
Do you like sriracha sauce?
No, me and Spicy don't get along that well unless you like the sounds of your bathroom every half hour on the half hour.
Oh, God. Can I have one as well? Since
Yes.
Thank you. Nobody said I couldn't eat. That was through the case of the hospital.
Spork.
Ooh, wow.
Metal spork.
Metal spork.
Metal sport.
Alright, there's your rice situation.
All right.
Tongs and stuff.
You can grab you, John. Thanks. I might have this whole thing in the microwave if you don't want.
Sure thing.
Brian, I posted the story, didn't I, about John when I was gasping for air?
No.
Oh,
You were
Jesus.
gasping for air in the driveway and John was shitting himself.
Yes.
You were laying on the horn.
I'm laying on the horn, I can't breathe, and I'm saying, John, where the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Scoopy thing for the chicken.
Scoopy thing for the chicken, yes.
Why don't we use whatever's left from the rice, which is done?
Yeah, the rice is gone, so can we use
If you want a fresh one, there's a fresh one.
a fresh Scoopy thing? I have too many things.
No, so that was the problem. I'm sitting there gasping like this, I've got the door open, there's no John, and I know his foot's fucked up. So I'm hitting the horn, and nothing happens. And then he tells me later, after I was there, thank you, in the hospital, that he was having another diarrhea attack. And he said, I couldn't go. And I said, for Christ's sakes, what do I fucking depend on? I said, Teddy would have cleaned it up.
Just go add 30 or add 1 minute.
There it is. Sorry.
Yeah, this
I
is
was looking for the plus 30 button.
Yeah.
this is called one of those things that's hysterically funny when you don't die.
Mm-hmm.
Right. getting funnier by the minute because you're still not dead. The tongs work better if you take the clasp off of them first.
Fillet my loins.
I was about to have to a while ago.
Well, that wouldn't have brought them back to life anyway.
I understand.
Yeah, they're still clinically dead.
Yeah. They did a little like CAT scan of his head to make sure it wasn't anything crazy while we were in there.
As that is not going crazy.
Well, yeah. So on the way out of the room, I asked the nurse. I was like, "Did that scan show anything else that's wrong with his head?" She didn't get it. Just like 40,000
Oh,
feet.
we gotta tell the lady died.
What? Oh, the lady died. Oh my god.
That was the best
You
part
have
of
to
it.
know that because I was like dissociating during the whole thing. I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like, because she goes, "Is that lady Diana?"
You know,
Or,
my
"Is
shitty,
this Diana?"
my shitty
Oh,
watch.
yeah.
And I was like,
Yes.
And then she went into this whole tirade about
How she wished she was.
from Puerto Rico. She wishes she was British.
Uh-huh.
I was like, what are we doing?
She wishes she was.
She's like, I was born in the wrong country.
Yes.
Because she's like, I love Princess Diana, and I was so sad when the Queen died, and I have all this money at home that says long live the Queen. I'm like,
Okay, what do I do?
Add a minute.
1 minute, top center button.
Well, it's all smudgy because it's the only one you hit.
No.
Yeah.
But, I mean, she's doing this, and I'm playing along, and I said, well, she was so inspiring, and I bought her, you know, it was $1 and a
You know,
pier
I could do with Byron Moore.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
here in Hong Kong in 1998.
in 1998, and she said, oh,
Was
it's so
that
what?
January 98, or was that, when did you go?
I don't remember. I think it was a cold month because he wanted to get laid where it was hot.
Fair enough.
Yes. And then when she was like, and when she was leaving, I turned to him and I said, and I feel like a candle in the wind.
There's a step down there.
We can move that fan if we want.
It gives me just enough room for my beer and my drink.
We can move that fan to the floor. It's not hot anymore. Plus, that's going back in my fur suitcase. Who tied this up? It is beautiful. This looks like a Ted Stoltz move.
We're not on, right?
We are.
Are we live?
We're live, but they don't care.
We're live, but they don't care.
Maybe these mics are picking us up. We're not talking directly into them.
That's fair. I'm probably
I
getting.
was going to say something rather untoward.
I'm gonna eat on camera.
Jim,
Oh.
you can.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You can take the producer seat, but if you want a microphone, we can put a desk microphone over here for you.
All right, let me keep eating.
Who frickin' tied this? It's beautiful. Maybe it was Ethan.
It wasn't me. Can tell you that much.
Someone who knows knots.
My boyfriend knows a thing or two about knots. He's watching us right now. I just realized.
Or busting one.
He heard me. He heard me say sorry. Somebody said we care. Victor says hi. Hi, Victor.
Victor Von Doom.
Yeah. All right, now I remember this mic has to be somewhere particularly, like, kind of vague. I don't want it in front of my face. Why is it spinning? Come back here, you dickhead. Can I say that on the internet? Sorry. Well, I won't get your channel demonetized, will I?
No, I mean, I've been demonetized on this regular enrollment. It doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
Jim is a white mic, and that is pot 3.
Where is it going?
There it goes.
Come-
Yeah, that thing wanders, doesn't it?
It does. Is it? Where is it loose at? Is the question of the day.
Here.
Oh, is it loose there? Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine.
You know, maybe this thing.
Tight. Oh, it's tight. Not tight.
This is one of those things you can tighten it forever, and it's it never.
It never gets better.
So it keeps. Oh, 'cause gravity.
Oh, is gravity playing games with me?
Goddamn gravity.
That motherfucker.
Newton's such an asshole.
Oh, because so like I see. Yeah, because as I do that, it like spins.
That one's half broken. The other one's broken in a different
Well,
direction.
hopefully this is good.
These mics are
Is my mic like unbearably loud, or
Who's
is
the
it
old guy with the
acceptable?
suspenders?
Old guy with the suspenders.
The radio interview guy who had a show. People in the chat are probably shouting it right now.
What? Not Studs Terkel.
Larry King.
Larry King. Oh,
Yeah,
that's right.
these are mics made to be like up and down.
Right.
The tape on them is where they hear from.
That's right. I remember. Yeah. Not hypercardioid, but like omni or like
Omnidirectional.
not omnidirectional, but
This is an omnidirectional mic.
yeah, that one you can talk into any which way you like, and it'll get you close.
But this one you have to eat the mic.
Right.
Those ones are a little bit more powerful.
Yeah, that one I had that one in my I can't say that. I had that one like down my throat the last time I was on the podcast.
Yeah. Like this one you have to almost go like this.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And actually we
it's
should.
like a pierced ear. You know, if you let it go, it'll grow back.
Can't wait for the new house. We're not gonna have a dedicated room to this. Testing my mic is fine.
How about me?
Kurt, say something.
How do you feel?
Does Kurt sound fine? Kurt, say something again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can hear myself quietly in the playback on my phone, so I
Yeah.
think it's probably okay.
Okay, so you are red. You are. No, I am red. You are blue. I'll pop you up
Nope,
just a little bit.
I'm red. I have. Oh no, shit! My cable's blue. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm colorblind. Real fart.
And Jim's mic is white.
Much like my face 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, we're not.
Yeah.
This man was. You were. I didn't know that you were giving play-by-play on the live stream.
I mean, I had
This situation.
I had to talk about. Like I was kind of reaching for topics.
Yeah, it's like I invited people onto the podcast and then they ended up in the hospital. So
Yeah.
we'll be right back.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, I love that there's another camera for Jim. We get a little. It's just the back of his head because it's
Yeah,
over there
yeah.
behind you.
Yeah.
It's behind you, over your right shoulder. It's like
you
way
mean
over
it's
there.
my witness protection program?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing the Dateline NBC like outline with the warble
Yeah.
voice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the camera I use. That if I have to take this. Actually, no. When I do like live streams or something, I just put that in black and white and just up the gain to the complete max. It's all just full of noise.
Yeah.
It's disgusting, but it's in the corner of the screen, and the rest of the screen is just whatever we're looking at on the internet. But if I want to use that for my VTuber, I have to turn these lights on because it can't read my face.
Okay, what the
No.
fuck is it? You choked on it and it wasn't.
Your husband said the rear is Jim's best view. Tony says hi.
Tony! And also, Jim, if you feel like seeing what the chat is seeing, you can look at the screen there. It's all on the left-hand
I can't
side.
see shit. I'm older than half of the pyramids.
You literally can't read that? That is
Now I
a
can.
That is what is that? A 52-inch screen?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
huge.
but this is like 6.
No, it's right next to it, to the right.
Oh, this?
Yeah.
Oh, I was looking at this shit.
No,
Oh,
it's the
I can
same
use my
thing.
glasses. Oh, okay. No wonder it seemed redundant.
Yeah. So that's the stream that's going by.
You're watching this man use a computer for the first time ever.
Where do you put it in the wood? Reminds me, there was a IT company who used to service a company I worked at, and they said that they had, back in the DOS days,
Yeah.
they had a lady who called in and they had a problem, and they said, "What's the matter? I can't log into my computer." And when they said, "Well, put in the hello line, hello.sys. whatever." And she said, "I did that." And they said, "Well, what do you mean? Show us." And she leaned into the screen.
No.
Hello?
No.
Hello?
That's real. That's not
That's-
that's not like a bit or
No, no,
something.
no.
Or-
This was about 84, 85.
Oh my
The
goodness.
other one, which was priceless, is my beloved husband once was in an IT service job where they were serving, I'll just keep it anonymous, a large high-tech facility.
Yeah.
It's the ISP. And there were two very old ladies who worked the front desk and used to eat a lot at their desks. So basically the keyboards became catch basins
Yeah.
with malfunctions regularly. And one of the ladies got on the phone line, she must have been in her 60s, and said, John, come here. I can't get my period, John.
Oh.
I have a mechanical keyboard at my desk at work.
Yeah.
I also eat at my desk a lot. It's just a black and white keyboard that's backlit. No, like, RGB or anything, but just white.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell when I've dropped crumbs in it because the crumbs will obscure the LEDs and it'll turn the keys yellow.
Uh-oh.
So I take it out into the shop and I grab one of the technicians' blowguns and blow all the
That is
shit out
so
of it.
Nice.
It's if you think the cans of compressed air are awesome. I mean, they are when you
Yeah.
flip them upside down. But like,
Yeah.
like the right way up, like the 120 psi shop air through your keyboard.
Oh,
just watch
man.
the keycaps.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't shaken that keyboard out in a while.
Yeah.
But for the longest time, like I was still with that old computer that's over there. That one is still has PS2 ports in the back, and I was still rocking the Adobe shortcut keyboard that I started using in like 2008, 7 or 8, and that thing was shaken out many times and was through the dishwasher twice on the cold setting. And by the way, people who are watching, you can put a keyboard in the dishwasher. It's just on the cold setting and no heated dry.
Yeah.
You can wash it out that way. But the thing is, you can't use that keyboard for like a week afterwards. You have to put it on the furnace, which may be a thing, maybe more of a Northeast thing.
Definitely. Like, not where I come from. I did have a friend who, like, recently dishwashed his IBM Model M, but
Yeah.
he just, like, didn't use it for a while. It's dry enough in Arizona. You could put it outside for a while. It actually might turn it white again if you leave it in the sun.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I wonder if you could get one of those. There's UVA and UVB or UVC. There's the one light bulb that you shouldn't buy. Do you remember there was some sort of tweet or a story that went around from a rave somewhere where they wanted to have black lights, but they bought the ones, or like they wanted ultraviolet lights, but instead of buying black lights, they bought the ones that used to go in a barber shop sterilization
Uh-oh.
tray.
wow.
And they bought like 20 of them.
Incorrect.
And like
Incorrect.
everybody's like, why do my eyes feel like there's sand in them like the next day? It's like all of you guys were like looking into a welder's arc for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, you can buy sterilization UV stuff. It's supposedly they have the normal, they screw into a normal light bulb, and you can put one into a room. Like, go to the door, look away, turn it on.
We have those at work. Fuck.
do?
We had them. They were, all of them have labels on them that's in parentheses because it says COVID killer.
Oh, really?
But they're on, they're like little remotes. But yeah, they were like, there's one by everyone's desk. We don't have them plugged in anymore because it's kind of, but there was one by people's desks and you'd like walk out of the room and flip them on. It's like a weird little
For
UV light.
what?
Like a disinfectant light. I don't know, man.
Oh,
I have no idea.
But in the shop area?
No, in the parts department.
Why would the parts department need UV sterilization?
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know why we
I
did
don't
half
know
the
when
shit that we
when
did.
somebody shoots on the parts.
I guess, yeah.
It's like my grandpa used to have an ozone machine. I wish I still had it.
I have one.
Yep.
You need it?
No, I just think it was hilarious that this was like, because this is the 70s in the basement. Everybody's smoking in there, and they would run this to like get the smell of cigarettes out of the house. I think I brought it to like college once. It was old, and yeah.
Yeah, because we had to get one when we did the Lemons Rally and the Nocturnal Emissions Testing Station van.
Yeah.
And the interior was so bad, it needed an ozone machine.
Where is your ozone machine?
It's across from.
Somewhere.
No. It's identifiable. It's
Oh, you know where it is?
Yeah, if you turn around from the washer dryer, you'll see it on that rack
Oh, fun. Yeah, because I definitely didn't find it yesterday in your garage.
because it wasn't there.
That's good.
Is it like all stainless steel or something
Oh,
like
yeah.
that with one big toggle switch that turns it on and off?
Right. There's a timer on it. I think because you can't be in the room,
Yeah.
so there's a timer on how long it'll run, and then. Supposedly if you run it and, you can't come back in the room if it's been closed off for like 2 hours after it airs out. Because it does nasty shit to you, allegedly.
Allegedly.
What does it do?
I don't know.
Okay.
People in the comments will
I don't know how Ozone Machine would work.
will probably say something. I was ranting about like pedestrian safety for a while, and the chat corrected me that said no, pedestrian safety doesn't apply to pickup trucks.
Correct. That's why they get designed the way they get designed, because manufacturers don't have to give a shit.
No, pedestrian safety does not apply if your vehicle has an MSRP over $80,000.
Yeah.
That's the mainline thought process there.
Yeah, it's like
Where off-roading means you hit the curb at Nordstrom's.
yeah.
Yeah.
We took videos of we took photos of I should probably roll on this. Actually, did I finish my water? Yeah, it's empty.
Trying to cut through a piece of a bell pepper with a spork.
Yeah, but just eat the whole thing.
Yeah, that's yeah.
In
Well,
your mouth it goes.
I'm trying to be modest in front of the people. Fuck you.
Emperor of modesty. Brian, can I steal some of your dental floss? Thank you.
I shouldn't feel bad if you're gonna floss on camera.
Actually, I can't. The damn stuff fell in.
Did it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, is it? No. The kid's just half blind.
Well, we knew that.
Oh, come on. Grandma needs to have her specs redone.
Well, apparently the sidebar
Welcome
is
back
frozen.
to the RCR Podcast on the main channel. Jim's not dead. He's back. Kurt's eating food.
Yep. The
And,
sidebar chat is frozen.
The sidebar chat is frozen.
I've been told that it's frozen.
Really?
Like the
Interesting.
display chat that's up on the screen, or it's like just not scrolling itself down.
Interesting. That's awesome.
It's stuck at.
All right, I'm going to stop recording for a second. Testing.
Oh yeah, it is just stuck there at the. How funny is that? Yeah, well.
Beepus. Opus. Bompus. Dingus. I mean,
Okay.
you
It
see
seems
all
to be
that?
catching up now.
I mean, we are on a delay.
A little bit.
Congus. Mangina.
I've gotten a request from a friend that I need to cross my legs even tighter, but I don't think I can.
The kids will suffocate.
You're good.
I wouldn't go that far.
Welcome back to RCR on the main channel. Jim's not dead. Kurt's back, and we're finally able to have the podcast we always wanted to do.
Yes.
So we, how much time is left on this camera to record this? Oh, awesome. Plenty of time. What time is it now? It is 11. We'll probably keep this going up for a half an hour, depending if we have this conversation, if we're still ready to go tomorrow, given everything. Special guest, Kurt, has been on the podcast before, taking time out of his evening to join us again. Kurt knows I knew a few things about it. Yeah.
I've owned more BMWs than anything else.
Really? Because
I've
I always pegged you as the Mercedes guy because that's your daily right now.
It is. That is the daily. And it was like never a car I wanted to own. I didn't seek it out.
Okay.
I just totaled my BMW like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And a friend was selling it and it was cheap.
Okay.
And I thought, okay,
All right.
cheap car.
How much money do you have in it?
Oh shit, I don't know. And, like, into it.
Not including the purchase price.
Oh, not including the purchase price. I'm under 10 grand, or under 10. I'm so sorry. I'm under 1,000.
Okay.
I'm under 1,000.
fantastic.
I'm in the 3-digit range still, which is good. It has asked me. I've put 32,000 miles on that car in a year and a half, and it has
Okay.
asked me for nothing.
That is good.
So, I will continue to pretend that I like it until it starts asking for
What
things.
is it? Because I fall asleep every time I ride in the back seat.
You
of that
do.
thing.
You've been in that car 3 times and you've taken a nap in the back of it all 3 times.
Yes.
It's a 2001 E320 4MATIC Estate. It's delightful. It now has 174,000 miles on it.
And that's a V6?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about that wagon.
Somebody
That-
just, I don't know who this is in the chat that said Carmela Soprano, but that is the name of my car. Yes, it is named. It is silver. It looks like the one Carmela drove in the show.
Okay.
So it's named Carmela.
Oh, she did drive a wagon.
She drove. Yep, she had a couple, like not officially, but they just used a few of them in the show.
There's something about it. It's almost, and I mean this as a compliment, but the wagon feels it has a rhythm and a vibration that's similar. And please take this as a compliment. Similar to a Ford IDI diesel from a school bus.
Yeah.
There is just this.
Yep.
Like, okay, I'm just going to vibe with this vibration, and I'm going to travel into a land where every day is Friday and I have no algebra homework.
Yeah.
And I'm going home. I haven't figured out how to beat off yet, so it's just Mega Man 2 and Nickelodeon Guts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has an interesting, like, it has a handful of problems that I haven't been able to figure out. So, like, the first one, and I think that maybe they're combined issues. So it's had this really low idle since I bought it. Like, it looks low on the tach, and I thought, maybe that's just like, maybe it just reads weird or it's scaled funny. You plug in a scan tool, like idle RPM is registering like 450, 500, like low.
Whoa.
And I think it's a vacuum leak, but I can't find a vacuum leak anywhere. That's all it could be. I've done everything else that I think it could be.
Yeah.
And it also has this persistent evap leak code that, like, I can clear it, and sometimes it'll come back 3 hours later. Sometimes it doesn't come back for 3 weeks. And I don't know.
Did you
I
ever
can't.
get the chance to like stick a wideband up the exhaust?
I haven't. Chris and I are supposed to smoke test it one of these days, but I can't. I get it into his garage for something minor, and I go, I got to change the oil, and maybe we'll smoke test it today. And I get the oil change done in 8 minutes, and I go, yeah, I don't really care anymore.
Yeah, it's fine. It'll keep running.
Yep. And so there's that, and then so it has that vibration at idle. Oh, you know the way to his heart.
Oh,
The seltzer
absolutely.
water. Yeah, it has that vibration at idle. It has like a 40 mile an hour on throttle vibration from one of the axles or the front drive shaft. And then it has one at like 80 from the back wheels being eggs. So, like, it keeps you entertained.
I wonder if the chat is still frozen because it's still saying
Oh, yeah, it's still at your,
it's still at my beepus something or other.
yeah, beepus,
Bompus,
boopus.
boopus, dingus.
Oh, there it goes again. What? Yeah, it went back up again. Huh. That is super weird. So we're not getting any of the live chat going. Are you getting it?
Yeah, my phone's getting
But
it.
it's not displaying in the...
Yeah,
Alright.
like the live chat is functioning. But
All right, then we'll do the old thing. We're just
Fucking
going to
shit,
remove
God
this
damn it.
from that.
Jesus
You sure want to
Christ.
remove chat? Yes, I do.
well, that's while the film cam's going. I don't
But
care
it's-
anymore.
it's- okay, so the problem is on my end.
Jim, I'm gonna use your Leica as a phone holder for my
You
camera.
can do a great job.
The most expensive phone holder.
Yeah. See
This
pop
will
out
still be on
chat.
it. I don't want it to go back to Yushin for another year.
It's
Okay,
fine.
is it gonna load the chat?
Shit.
Is it gonna load the chat? No, it is not gonna load the chat. Well, whatever.
Your ass looks great on camera.
Awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jim, you can at least see it there. The people in the chat aren't going to see it, but for the people watching afterwards, they're not going to be able to see it either because it's not recording. But if you see anything, coming through, just
Do you have a telex address?
okay. You're gonna have to educate me on what that is.
That was when you'd send a cable to somebody.
Does that require a man to come and read you what it is?
This was in the days when you would have, like teletypes and those sort of things, and you would send a message a la Western Union.
Uh-huh.
You could have direct links, and people would have telex addresses for their company. So if you ever see something really old, when it has telex on the invoice or something, that's when you would send the message. And
Is it right for me to think that that's a type of fax? It's going to print out at a machine at your...
Well, a fax is, remember, as a facsimile of an image. This is transmitting characters.
Okay.
And they used to have, back when Holiday Inns had the big flashing signs with the star and the...
I've just made the realization that we have people of 3 different generations. Like we're all 20 years apart.
When were you
That's
born?
true.
When did you graduate high school, Kurt?
2016.
Oh my fucking god!
I was born in 1998.
I was doing RCR independently for a year when you graduated high school.
Yeah. Wow. I know.
And you both weren't even zygotes when I graduated.
Correct. Because you were born in 59.
Yeah, I graduated in 77.
I was born in 98.
If you need a trash can, it's under
It's
there.
okay, thanks.
Yeah.
What year were you born?
81.
81. Okay, so
Yeah.
we're all we're all about 20 years apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or no?
My first modem at the house was a 14.4 kilobytes
Amazing.
would come in.
That's
and
a lot.
I searched for, and you asked me in the interview, said like when you discovered like furries and stuff. It was the year 1998, and I'll still remember what I typed into fucking Netscape Navigator. Dragon wearing clothes. That's what I.
Be careful, you wind up going back to St. Luke's.
Yeah, thank God St. Luke's is like actually 5 minutes away from here. It
They
is
got a food court.
like
there.
as the crow flies, it's like a mile.
What?
Dude, my parents, when they opened that hospital, they just went there for lunch one day.
Just to
Like
check it out.
Well, they got a nice food court. Let's
My
have lunch.
my
there.
grandmother and I have done that at the Mayo Clinic in Phoenix. She was like, they have a
Really?
really nice cafeteria. It does. They do. It has like outdoor seating and like a little garden and stuff.
Do they have like Uber Eats into the chapel?
Oh boy.
It is St. Luke's. Was there a chapel in there? Or?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's
No.
a modern hospital. They built that thing in like 2018 or something like that.
Oh, okay. It looks pretty new.
Yeah.
I don't know. We were in and out real fast.
Unbelievably nice people.
Yeah.
It's really great when you start having people telling you all the lethal things that aren't happening.
Yeah, that's the nice. That's the good list. Yeah, there's a St. Luke's. I feel like everywhere. I don't know where their expansion ends, but I feel like there's one all over the place.
I kind of feel that they may be Pennsylvania based. I mean,
Are they?
Lehigh
Because
Valley-
they're definitely in Arizona. Like I've seen.
they are?
Yeah, it's like it's the same organization, I believe. I think
okay.
it's all the same brand. Unless there's just a St. Luke everywhere with has
I
the
wonder
same
if they're
logo.
not actually like a Catholic hospital. They just co-opted the name.
I don't know.
Well, maybe the name should be in the public domain by now.
Yeah, that's true. There is a Catholic hospital if like for people who want a few towns up.
St. Joe's? The one outside of Reading?
Good Samaritan.
I guess
There's that.
I'm gonna try. Somebody's saying that I'm significantly louder than you two, so I'm gonna try distancing the mic first.
Those mics are a little bit hotter.
That's fine. I'll just put it away from me and we'll see.
They are better
Hey,
microphones.
Kurt, that's a switch.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, your gain is equal to mine. I'm gonna pot your gain down and put the potentiometer down just a little bit.
Sounds good. All right, we'll see if that satisfies the people.
Satisfaction.
Yes,
Satisfaction.
satisfaction. I got a request. because I heard that we were talking about cars to beat off in. So
The chat wanted to okay, so they asked me, I got onto that tip about how I had my Toyota Echo.
Right.
And I
beat off.
That was the weirdest in a
Toyota
trunk
Echo?
because I turned the trunk into a bed.
Okay.
Because I had an hour-long lunch and I preferred to just
Did
sleep.
the seats fold down?
No, I curled myself up and slept in the back of that little trunk
Yeah.
Wow.
of a Toyota Echo. Yeah.
That's a tiny.
Dude, when I was like about 5 pounds, I weighed myself at the gym. I'm 171, but when I was a little lighter, like 165, I was able to fit in Doug DeMuro's the frunk of his Modena, like
I
his
did
Ferrari
see.
360.
I do recall. Yeah.
Yeah. wonder if
So,
that
but
guy
I
even
got a
remembers.
request because someone wanted to hear from Jim the first car or the weirdest car he's ever beat off in.
I don't know. I'll have to think about it for a minute.
Right, because that was
I
what
realized
like 80 years ago probably.
Yeah, after you pulled the crank out.
Right.
Yeah, actually, I realized, that was the first time you popped the trunk.
Nah. Pop the Trunk. Great song by the Agrolites.
Yeah.
Ska band.
No, I had a 39 Roadmaster, which was...
No.
Yes, which was great for the back seat for getting laid because that's all it was a huge sofa. Once I got pulled over in New Hope because I had 6 drag queens on the running boards hanging on as we were going down Main.
Outside the car.
Outside the car,
Yeah.
yes.
6, 3 on each side.
3 on each side. Because the running boards on those things are huge.
What were they holding on to?
Well, the top of the car.
The rain gutters?
Yeah, and the rain gutters, basically. They were holding on to the rain gutters.
There's like 8 stories in that one story. You're in New Hope, Pennsylvania with 6 drag queens in what, 1971?
This would have been in the mid-90s, 93
Okay.
or so. There was a particularly randy get-together of Lambda
As
Car
opposed
Club.
to all the other ones you
Yeah,
had.
particularly randy.
Oh, good.
It was a lot of fun.
Oh man, that is an entire other story. Just have Lambda Car Club stories, which I want to do at some future point. I can bring, now that I know this works this way, I can make this mobile and just bring it to your house, like Lambda Car Club stories.
Yeah, I'll have to bring over some of my old friends before they're dead. So
So I want to thank both of you and also who couldn't be here, Justin Silverman, for making such a big case for the Mahoning Drive-In. I have never been there. Yes, I have never been there. Lived here most of my adult life. Have never been to Mahoning Drive-In. And there was a vibe of that place that brought me back to Friday night high school football games and marching band. Just that feel of, okay, I'm with all the other weirdos from the band. I am going to fill my bass drum mallet with confetti that I pulled off they would take streamers and wrap the bleachers at Blue Mountain High School with blue and white streamers. And my bass drum mallets were aluminum. Nowadays, they went back to wood, but back in the 90s, they were percussion instruments. They liked the aluminum sticks and stuff. So it was open on both ends. So I would just fill it full of just streamers and just turn around and just shoot these streamers back up into the bleachers and know that Brian is just being weird, and that's okay because we're going to get fresh cut fries later. And when I bit into that, oh my goodness, it was so good. That freshly made corn dog, there was a core memory right there of coming back, and it's like, I want to spend so much more time at the Mahoning Drive-In. And for people who are watching both live and later, go to the Mahoning Drive-In in the town.
It's
starts with
it's
an L.
in Lehighton.
Lehighton.
Yeah.
Mahoning Drive-In, Lehighton, Pennsylvania. Still functioning with the original projectors when that place was built in 48.
Yep. They show
Holy
everything they
shit.
show there. They still show on 35 mil.
So
wow.
Yep. Yeah. Everything. So your car show was a couple weeks ago
Yeah.
on Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the RCR car show and a showing of Christine, which is
35 millimeter.
on
That-
35 millimeter.
That movie was simultaneous. Like, I
Had
look
you seen
back
it
at,
before?
Yes, I
Okay.
have seen it before, but I don't remember
Okay.
seeing it. And like when you remember it, you just remember the big money shot with the hydraulic rams where they make the car repairs itself.
Mm-hmm.
But then, because I must have seen it when I was young, because I guess that movie came out in 83,
Yeah,
83 or 82. 83?
around there.
People in the comments will correct me. But I knew like little bits of it, but I never watched the whole thing through. And it is a corny kind of movie,
Yeah,
but John Carpenter makes it weird enough that
Yeah.
I'm sitting in Nick's car because Nick is like riding, and I tried to circulate my way through. Everybody was there to give everybody some time, and Matt Walsh was there, who I miss, and so I'm like watching this and realizing I'm no longer watching this movie ironically. I'm like, okay, so these actors are giving it their all
Yeah.
for this silly kind of movie.
right.
And like the nerd character whose name I can't know, something Cunningham.
Arnie Cunningham.
Yeah.
Arnie Cunningham, as they called him. Yeah.
He's like, okay, he's definitely making some method acting here of someone who's going into some sort of like psychosis. Like maybe with the makeup and then putting a little bit of dark circles under his eyes. Like maybe this kid's not sleeping. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I enjoyed that. But yeah, so your show was Sunday, and I saw someone mention in the chat that John Waters was there last year. He was there this year too.
Yeah.
It was last year they did. It was the first one ever that they had done like a live John Waters thing at the drive-in, and it was all 3 nights: Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 Waters movies each night. This year they dialed it back a little bit, and they did just Friday, Saturday, and it was 2 Waters films, and then the third one was like one that he curated. But instead of doing like the Q&A like they did last year, and like Waters loved it so much personally that he wanted to come back and do it again. It wasn't like someone had to do it. Somebody who was there Friday night told me that when he was asked at one point in time like why he came back, he's like, I just did it for fun. He's like, I have 3 houses. I don't need this. Like, I don't need to do this. Like, I don't care. But he did a live commentary through the showing of Polyester, which I have in the Mercedes. I need to give you one, but he found more of the original. What the hell were they called? Odorama. Yeah, the scratch and sniff cards.
I heard of those.
The scratch and sniff cards that came with the movie, so they'd flash a number on the screen and you scratch it. And they were original ones. They were from 81, and they didn't smell like anything anymore. They were like, they smelled like mothballs in basement. Like you scratched everywhere on it, and it was just like, oh yeah, grandma's basement 40 years ago.
Right.
Like that's all they smell like.
Yeah.
But it was cool, and like live commentary with him, and like, not to derail and talk about movies, but like the best part about John Waters and his absurd films, like my favorite bit was one scene in Polyester with like Mink Stoll just going nuts. And at the end of the scene, when it gets quiet, he just really quietly into his mic went, "Dear God." Like even he was appalled by that, and he's like, "Man, I haven't seen that in a minute. Like that sucked."
That is awesome. Okay, I'm going next year.
Yeah,
if he does it for a 3rd year in a row.
Yeah.
And the Odorama cards were like kind of over your head when they were fresh. In other words, like it was gas when somebody was trying to kill themselves.
Yeah.
And perfume.
Yeah.
And then I don't know.
All it smelled like was like old lady perfume in basement, because that
Yeah.
was like I don't even know. Yeah, there's like one scene where like Divine in the movie hasn't showered in like a week because she's just been like binge drinking after her husband left her.
Yeah.
And so there's like one that you're supposed to scratch and sniff when she's like smelling herself in the room, and it's like again they didn't smell like anything, but it was cool to hold one that I was like, this is a 45-year-old like artifact of when this movie came out, and it was like cool technology.
Yeah.
When it came out. I mean, it wasn't cool. It was like stupid gimmicky
it was a
things.
send-up.
Yeah.
All it was a send-up of 50s and early 60s gimmick movies.
Yeah.
So he just invented this with odor, because they did have movies where they would put scents out in the theater itself. And there's a book that I think it was in Shock Value where he has a whole chapter that talks about the showmanship of grade Z movies in the 50s and 60s that he would go to.
Yeah.
There was one called The Tingler, and they put buzzers in the seats.
What?
Yeah, so they would put buzzers in the seats, so like at an appropriate time, they'd send a current.
You get zapped.
And he said he went to he went to this grade Z rundown theater, and they had 6 buzzers, and he was trying to find which seat had the buzzer so he could get buzzed.
Where do we find what is the word for that type of found culture today, where you go to a seedy theater where you see something that's just disgusting and revolting, but there's a sense in yourself that you're seeing something real? I guess maybe I'm over analyzing our sort of hyper reality that we live in right now, where everything's just sort of polished and stuff, as opposed to this podcast. But
yeah,
that you're making an effort to go somewhere to see something raw and undefined. And I don't mean to say something as pretentious as of quoting the first lines of "On the Road" by Jack Kerouac, who says, "Trying to find the angel-haired hipsters looking for the heavenly fix and are trying to find that transcendental moment."
Mm-hmm.
But I guess there was that feeling at the Mahoning Drive-In, whatever's going on here is real. These are people not really here for a sort of curated experience or something. This is a artifact of popular culture that has survived despite the times.
Yeah.
But it's not ironic. That's the interesting thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because usually if you saw something like that, it would be ironic and played up.
Yeah.
And, get, Instagram this next to this.
Yeah.
And
look how much this sucks. Or
yeah.
my buddy Tom used to have this thing, and this is going back here. This is 2007. But it was 2008. We would go a lot. He was working on his doctoral at Cornell. Humble brag for him. But we would go up to Ithaca, and that was when the whole sort of hipster thing was in full force. And we would go to this bar in Ithaca called There was 2 bars. They were fantastic because they were kind of like dive bars. They were dive, but they were hipster dive. One was called Moon Shadows, and the other one was Chapter House. And this was when the whole IPA thing was at its peak, when how hoppy can you make it? How disgusting can you make the IPA?
Yeah.
And the line was you just put on a hat and just go, "This beer is revolting.
Yeah.
I'll have another." That.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much piss can you put in this?
How much? you have a guy with tassels. You have a guy with tassels on his shoes pissing into the fermenter. He's like, "This is the real experience."
Yeah. It doesn't get more real than this.
Yeah. I guess maybe like Big Jake was talking about going to either Tommy's M&S Diner or something. Well, he moved to Baltimore, didn't he?
I believe so.
These people in the people in the chat room don't know what we're talking about.
That's okay.
Friend of a friend. No, he was on RCR.
Was he?
It was him and Lance who were driving one of the giveaway cars. We had a convertible S197 Mustang.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was black with red stripes. This was like the guy who wears the car for the guy who wears tap out clothes to Pilates class. I don't know why a jock would be going to Pilates class. Maybe he's
Pilates. I don't know. Maybe he's just.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just what works.
How are we doing on time? Time is it?
What time?
You gotta watch on.
I do. It's 11:10.
Okay, so I think we're gonna wrap this up, even though there's a short amount of guests. But thank you very much for everybody.
I'm fine to keep going for a little bit.
You're fine to keep going for a little bit, Jim. How you feeling?
I'm not dead.
You're not dead.
I still have most of my beer left, so
Man.
I can speed that up. But
all right. How's that? Is the chat moving on your phone?
it is. Yeah.
All right, good.
I'm kind of.
I removed it. I removed it from the feed because it wasn't updating. But anything interesting happening in the chat?
Just no. Tony said Jim not dead. Yay. Thank you, Tony. I've had a head.
Dude,
I've had
Tony
a weird.
spun his wheels in the fire truck the other day when we were driving.
It does that?
So, well, yes, he was able to make the rear wheel spin. Here's what happened. So we go to the Garlic Festival, and
Oh, I wish I could have.
I
I was too busy being half dead.
Yeah, you were still in the hospital.
I got some pit like I was in there in spirit because I was running my D750 with a lens from the 70s.
Ooh.
So I was shooting all manual. Most of my photos were bad because I wish I had the two little spheres that you got to line up. I don't have that. So I was just kind of like, well, how small can I make the iris and how
Yeah.
what can I do with here? I mean, I'm in the middle of daytime and have an ISO of 10,000. So that's what I'm working
Because you have
with.
the lens stopped all the way down.
Yeah.
to
So
hell,
like,
trying
so I
to
can
just-
like, it's somewhat in focus.
Yeah,
I love that lens though. It's probably in that bag down there.
it's a delightful lens. I like the pictures you
1.8.
took at Mahoning.
Yeah.
They were really nice. They were really pleasant.
Better if I had a tripod. Of course, everything was blue shifted because I didn't take my polarizer off.
Whoops.
Whoops.
Oh well,
Yeah.
we can fix that. We can fix that in post.
Yeah.
I have the chat is currently upset at me because it's like out of the people talking, it's like 90% people I know directly that
Yeah.
are tuning in
Yeah.
because I'm here.
Mhm.
And so they said that it was disrespectful that I disregarded them earlier, and I didn't disregard you. I was just
Disregarded who?
this
Oh, the chat.
Omar, Kira, Lexi. I've got Elijah. I've got so many people in here. I've got an alarming amount of people. Mostly talking about E34s. They're like, why aren't you talking about BMWs? Like, because I've had enough of them. I'm tired. I just bought one recently. I bought another car.
What'd you buy?
That you get my 535, the one that you've worked.
Oh,
the one that you were
you're
playing
working
with.
on, yeah.
That I still cannot get that stupid valve adjustment right. Well, okay, I ordered parts to fix it.
Yeah.
I figured out what it was.
So people in the chat, what's going on with your 5 Series?
So bought this 92 535. It's like the 9th BMW that I've owned, I think, at this point, 9th or 10th. It's an awful car. Listen, it was $1,000. It was green over tan, and the guy said it runs and drives, which his idea of runs and drives is very different than mine. He said that his wife used to drive it to the store and back, and she really liked it. Again, her standards have to be different than mine. But when I bought it from the guy, also, he had like 4 teeth. And when he FaceTimed me to show me the car before I drove down, because I live near Philly, and I drove down to Norfolk, Virginia on a work night to pick this car up.
Yeah.
Because I'm stupid. And he FaceTimed me to show me the car. And he goes, I don't know what to do with it anymore, man. I just want to go fish with my kids. And he like showed me the lake behind the single wide.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit. So
that's perfect. The guy who's selling, like, instead of talking about the car, he just starts talking about what's going on in his life.
yeah. He's just like, oh, I want to spend time with my kids. I work at the factory all day. Like, just like went on this whole thing.
Yeah.
And he's not old. He's like 30 something, but he just like has that like backwoods type of thing going on.
Such a thing about people who are in their 30s who are just wired like old men. And when I say old men, I mean the people at my barber shop. Like who are looking for deferment of responsibility.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but yeah, anyway, continue. So you go down there
so
to
anyways,
get this
I
car.
go down there, I pick it up. It's got a little tick to it, and 535s have this ancient dinosaur boat anchor of an engine that was originally from the 60s, and like single cam solid lifters. Like you get, and they ran that all the way to 93. They barely changed anything. They like half-assed fuel injection. And no, like they like it started out in life with like 3 carburetors, and then eventually moved on to kind of fuel injection that sort of stuck. But anyways, it had this tick when I went down to pick it up, and the guy was like, "Yeah, a buddy of mine told me I should put some ATF in the oil, and it would free up the lifters." And in my head, I'm like, "It has solid lifters. I don't know what you're freeing up by putting." So anyways, alas, I got it back. We did a valve adjustment. There's a short on Brian's Instagram of him stealing the feeler gauges away from me with a magnet from across the engine bay.
Yeah.
And come to find out, my all the eccentrics on the rockers to adjust the lash and the lifters is just flat. Like like one edge of it is flat. And so I can check tolerance, but it's not giving me a correct reading because they're not round anymore. So I think I'm in tolerance, but I'm actually just on this like flat spot of the adjuster. So I ordered new eccentrics from BMW. You can still buy them.
Nice.
One of the things I love about BMW that I don't like about Mercedes is that BMW has I can go to the dealer and buy most of the important parts for that car. Like anything that would keep me from driving it, I can go to the dealer and buy. And it's like not that expensive, which is cool.
When did they stop producing the E30?
The E34, my chassis, the 5
No,
Series.
E30 nothing.
The E30, 90, well, depends.
Okay.
This 91, I think, was the last year for the sedan, either 90 or 91.
Okay.
The convertible and the coupe ran for like another year or two.
Okay.
Because BMW always does that. They say, I don't know what exactly the reasoning is, but like some of it, I think some of it's just that they have leftovers. So they just like keep selling the old ones until they run out. And some of it might be, here's a sedan, we're going to work on the convertible and the coupe, and then we'll drop those in a couple years.
Yeah.
So they keep selling the old model for a while. And that the same thing happens to the M cars. Like you get a new non-M while they're still running the old chassis M car for like a year or two. But I don't know. But around 90, 91 was around when that ended.
That's, if I ever owned a BMW, it would be an E30.
They're lovely.
Yeah.
You just have to find one that's like not been E30 taxed.
I know.
Because you can still occasionally stumble upon somebody with like an
an
auto 325e.
Ew, no
and he
auto.
wants like, yeah.
Has
well,
to be manual.
yeah, the autos were not great.
No.
I mean, they weren't bad, but it was like a 4-speed, just like bleh.
Corey Walton said, Brian, you like E30s because they're pretty much Hondas.
Yeah, they do have the Honda energy.
Yeah,
you
just rev the absolute nuts off of them, and they don't care. Yeah.
And you get, and I started, the E34 thing happened, or at least the appeal came to me because I just looked at them like, oh, this is an E30 that actually drives better, that people don't know anything about because they look at a 5 Series and go, oh, like big grandpa boat car, but they weigh like 100 pounds more.
That's it.
And they're like, you get usable rear seats, sort of, if you're like a twink. You get usable rear seats.
Yeah.
And they drive really well. And they both have different things about them. Like the first time I got into an E30 and tried to drive it the way I drove my E34, like spiritedly or like on track, it scared the crap out of me because the first corner it just wanted to rotate and I had to dance with it, and I was used to the like mechanical grip of the chassis and the weight of the E34. So like the first time I threw an E30 into a corner, I was like, oh shit. I was like, this car wants to play, and I wasn't ready for it. It's super fun because it does that Honda thing.
Yeah.
It does the like, this car's really light and there's nothing substantial to it.
Yeah, you get like an EG.
You got to play with it. Like
an EF Civic or something like that. Even though it's front wheel drive, the rear end wants to come out.
Yeah. So they're funny little cars. But yeah, at any rate, E34, great car. The contrast of that, like the E34 has such a crazy following to it. Like, I mean, just like BMWs in general. Like you can go online and find out anything about them at all. And like the Mercedes ownership experience has been like, I go online, I search, okay, let me find a forum post about like, what's this thing? Because I'm used to going to the BMW forums and they're like helpful-ish. I go to the Mercedes forum and I'm like, oh, my car's having this issue. What do I do? And someone goes, oh, yeah, so here's this problem I'm having with my car. What do I do? And, like, the forum posts are like, I don't know, did you try this and this? He goes, yeah, I tried this and that, didn't find anything. And then there's, like, a bunch of people like, what was it? And then, like, 6 months later, the original poster replies, oh, I took it to the dealership and paid them a bunch of money and it's fixed. And that's every thread. That's how all of them go. Like, they never end in, like, any of this, I actually DIY'd something, here's how to do it. It's all just like, yeah, I got tired of playing with it and I took it to the dealer. And I'm like, okay, well, my car is now 20 years old and it was $2,500 and I'm into it like less than $3,500. It's not worth an oil change at the dealership. Like I'm not paying anyone to fix anything on that car because it's, in my head, a car will never be worth more than what I paid for it, like, ever. So like I paid $1,000 for this green car, so spending $1,200 on a manual swap blew my mind. Yeah, because I'm like, I can't. Like this car isn't worth that much. Yeah. But whatever. It will make me like it more in the end with it not having a horrible auto in it. if I ever put the manual in it, which involves
I know there's
doing
cutting
that.
involved. You need that third pedal.
They're pretty easy to do. So the pedal box comes out. You put a manual pedal box in. It just bolts in. The hangers are all the same. It just is an extra pedal on it. The shifter hole's already there.
The shifter.
There's a hole already there for the shifter. It just goes in. Everything's there for the lines. You don't have to do anything to the computer. You just unplug the transmission controller, and the car goes on manual now. And it really doesn't care. It's a very easy manual swap because everything is there for it to be a manual. You just put it in the car. There's like no modification required.
Really?
They didn't change anything about the chassis or anything. So it's a pretty simple swap. The only thing stopping me is the fact that I don't have a clutch for it yet. And my drive shaft needs to be rebuilt. The U-joints obliterated.
Okay.
And it's like nice. I mean, it wasn't nice. It was a cheap manual swap. It was a complete manual swap that I paid like $1,200 shipped for it.
Okay.
And so I'm not mad because since then I've seen a bunch of people selling transmissions for like $900.
Rust.
Yeah. The car's rusty.
Okay.
It's definitely rusty. I bought it. I knew it wasn't nice. Like I wasn't surprised when I found rust. I definitely looked at the rocker panel like the next day in the daylight, like when you wake up after the alcohol's worn off and you go, what was that in my bed? Like I went outside at my work the next morning and I was like, man, I didn't see those bubbles on the rocker last night. And so I went to go tap the rocker with my foot to just like see how hollow it was. And my foot like went right through one of the bubbles and I was like, whoa. I was like, okay, so we're going to buy some side skirts and just... and then I got under it.
Think about
I got under it to see why the exhaust was held up by baling wire, and it's because all of the brackets off the exhaust that go through the hangers have just rotted off of the mufflers. So they're all still attached to the car, and the muffler's just hanging. So yeah, it's not clean. It's been a East Coast or like Midwest car its whole life, so it's been around. Somebody once cared about it because the paint on it looks really nice because somebody replaced all 4 doors because they rotted out. Oh. The doors on those go first. Like the bottom of the doors will rot out before anything else does. Someone put 4 new doors on it, painted the whole car. So repainted the factory pinstripe on it and everything. So someone gave a shit. It's just not the last 3 people who owned the car. But man, I would like to be the next person that kind of cares about it.
Man. You gonna cut out the rust and weld stuff, or maybe?
My thought was like maybe I'll do that. My other thought process is like keep it budget with the exception of like things that are kind of reusable, and then just like beat the crap out of this chassis. Yeah. And then find another nicer one later and swap all the cool stuff over, like engine, like the whole driveline, suspension, whatever else, and like. So I think that there's I don't know, I could probably get away with doing that. It was a weird impulse buy that was like entirely fueled by the fact that my boyfriend was moving from New York, which is 2 hours away, to Indianapolis, which is like 9 hours away. Yeah. And I was like, I'm gonna be alone, and I bought a car because I'm like, this will entertain me. And it turns out to just be like thing that has sat in the corner of someone else's driveway for 6 months.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I was all horny for that Honda today. Yeah. And I went to go look at it, and the guy was nice. He said, "You want to go for a ride?" I'm like, "Yeah." Is it registered? Yeah. Is it insured? And he said, "It's registered." I'm like, "Great." I'm there poking around the Honda today. I loved it.
Oh, yeah.
Whoever put in the cheap Alibaba LED headlight bulb replacements was too lazy to put the diaper back on. Okay. So that was like a whole thing. And the guy was cool. I mean, you have to take the intake snorkel off to change the headlight bulb on the passenger side of a Honda today. We found that out. Even though the Honda today is very tiny and has 12-inch wheels, it still has a space saver donut.
Amazing.
So you need even tinier.
What is that, a lifesaver?
Like like an actual donut size that you pull out of the trunk?
Yeah. Yeah, an old-fashioned from Dunkin'.
Yeah.
But the truth is, driving home, like this is just a distraction at this point. And I'm saving the idea of a Honda today or something else, depending on whichever, like, I don't know, you're Mercutio and I'm Romeo, and like I'll discover, was it Rosalind or something like that?
I thought you were going to say that you were saving yourself for marriage. I thought, no, it's a bit late for that.
Yeah, I don't see myself getting married, but then that's sort of like I don't know if I'd sign that paperwork.
It depends on the person.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was ever going to.
Yeah, neither you nor your husband thought that was ever going to happen.
Right.
And then you both ended up at the right side of the bed. And
Exactly.
I do like your story. Like after you got married, the first thing you did was went to marriage counseling. Is like we're already, halfway through our lives, and let's just get to this right away.
Yeah,
because we had both been through less than perfect relationships, and we recognized that generally men do two things: either they think with their pants halfway down when they don't want to talk about something, or they just split. And we said, we want this to work, so we have to figure out how to talk to each other.
Yeah. Did you ever see that? I think it was, I don't want to make this podcast go longer than it has to. It was Soft White Underbelly, a interview. He's been on that show twice. Just this divorce attorney that says like the biggest. He wrote a book called "If You're in My Office, It's Already Too Late," he says you would never get into a sparring match or a boxing. You would never learn how to fight in a fight.
Right.
Yeah. And so that makes a lot of sense what you were saying. Like let's learn how to argue.
Yeah, basically it's like, when you think of two animals, how can you spar without hurting each other? Yeah. And how do you give each other enough space? Because two very different personalities. So at what point do we intersect? In other words, I want to go at 100 miles an hour when I'm not dying, and
that doesn't really stop you either.
True.
Because you informed your doctor this morning upon dismissal from the hospital that you were in for 4 days.
You were in the hospital this morning.
Yes.
Yeah, he said.
Oh, I left.
And now we were in and then you went back to the hospital at 9 p.m.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the doctor said, resume your normal function, and you said you understand what that means.
Yeah, and I went through what my normal, and he said, yeah, go ahead, and everything was hunky dory until it wasn't.
Right. Well, that's usually how it goes.
Are you still like working in consulting full time?
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So that's full blast.
Oh, it's full blast everything. Full blast work, full blast fun, full blast. But John, on the other hand, needs far more downtime. So we figured out at what points do we intersect. And then each of us can go off and do their other thing, and we're not going to worry about it.
Corey Walton said to me that her ideal relationship is, maybe this is extreme, but I kind of get it, is 2 houses, 1 area code apart. That you'd visit each other from time to time. Although she seems to be doing fine with the man she has now.
Yeah.
Even though that the house is in his name.
Yeah.
This is just a boyfriend and girlfriend. We know she'll be on the podcast eventually. I hope
I would love to be on the podcast with Corey too.
Corey
Whenever you
Walton's
do it,
amazing.
I love her so much.
Yeah.
She's one of my favorite people.
Corey Walton is the short list of people who I honestly could live with.
Yeah.
Because I did throughout college.
You did, She was
so people who are watching this is my old college roommate. She was an undergrad. I was in grad school. She was the first person I came out to. When you come out before you come out,
right?
You tell people who you know are safe, because we were both in the cars. And her car exists as a very early RCR video. She had a car she legitimately called Leslie for lesbian.
Nice.
Because she had a 98 Subaru Outback.
Yeah.
Eddie Bauer. I think it might have been the Eddie Bauer edition. And then I sold her Goldie Hawn, which was the name of my Subaru Forester. Yep, there's the taillight.
Yeah.
For $100. because it was all rusted to hell. She worked on it for a little bit and eventually just gave it to Del Tech College where she got her certification.
Yeah, and Corey's crazy. I love her. I love her energy. I love that she just does exactly what she wants and nothing else. Like, it doesn't matter to her. Like, she went to she went to school for, what does she start?
She is a programmer.
Because I know that's what she does currently. But then, like, she just wanted to know about cars, so she just like went to Del Tech just because she wanted to.
Got her mechanic certification.
She just wanted to learn how to do that stuff, and so she did. And I was like, "You're a software engineer.
Yeah,
that's crazy good at what you do. Very talented, very high up in your chain of command. Yeah, and you still went back to school just to learn how to do automotive stuff because you like it that much. Yeah, like that's just how she is, and I love that she's just like, yeah, whatever, I'll do it, I'll try it.
Yeah. Yeah. She is doing all the work on her Nissan POW. She has a much better version one than I have. How are we doing on time, by the way?
It is just after 11:30.
I am feeling eepy.
Me too.
Yeah. Me too. All right, folks. Thank you so much for watching RCR, the revamp of the podcast. This is now going up on the main channel. If you are seeing this, it is not sent to subscriber feeds. This is just appearing at some point. Thank you so much for everybody who's watching in the chat. Kurt, if you can, just hang a gander at that chat, see if anything cool comes through. Thank you so much to everybody who watched. Thank you to our one super chat that we got. Our Patreon will be revamped soon, and we're going to be doing more of these podcasts in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you, guys. Good night.
Clean up. And I think I am going back into hyper warp again.
Really?
Yeah. Let me go put on handy dandy.